Last of Us Remake gameplay leaker was wrong. If you missed this, there was leaked gameplay of The Last of Us Part 1 Remake, and there was a very quick narrative that started that there were no gameplay changes, and people were pretty disappointed when they saw that. I was kind of getting ready to put Sony on blast. Like, I went to their blog and I was like, they promised a lot of changes. However, there was official response, sort of, from Sony, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you all the information right here at the beginning so you don't have to go hunting for it. This is a live stream, so if you weren't here for the live stream, the video's a little long, but I only give you about 5 minutes right here at the beginning with the goods, and then we discuss it as a live audience. So make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you don't miss these quick updates. This is a Reforge update. The Last of Us Remake gameplay leaker was wrong after many people saw footage that was leaked of The Last of Us Part 1 Remake. Many started thinking that it didn't look that impressive, and the leaker even stated there were no gameplay changes. I'm going to give you a rundown of why that's not correct and why Sony has seemingly responded with their own video in this very quick update. So hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my uploads, and check out Reforge Gaming where I stream live. So what exactly happened? So there was a leaker that got their hands on some gameplay footage of The Last of Us Remake. It's basically the first game completely remade. They announced this during Summer Game Fest, and we started seeing gameplay footage popping up in different places. The co-founder of XboxEra.com seemed to be the one who got the most attention on it. He has reach. He has a decent following. Now, he has since taken down a bunch of his tweets because he was worried he was going to sort of give away who the leaker was, and there might have even been two leakers. Really, what started happening that was driving the negative narrative was the, quote, no gameplay improvements. According to VGC.com, in two different reports, they said other footage and screenshots from the game were leaked by a different person on Wednesday, and with that person claiming there were, quote, no gameplay improvements. A second report from VGC.com said it's also been claimed by the person who leaked the images that the game has no gameplay improvements and that the upgrades are primarily to animation and audio. Understandably, people got irritated when they heard this. I immediately went to the Sony blog and was like, they promised significant changes and updates. And so Naughty Dog starts to reply sort of before Sony puts out a video. Samuel Prince, who worked on the game, he actually is, I believe, the senior editor. Yeah, senior editor. Samuel Prince actually took to Twitter, right? He's the senior editor for Naughty Dog, and he tweets the following. Now, he did this after he retweeted Naughty Dog from June 10th, where Naughty Dog said that gameplay mechanics are also rebuilt. And he said the following. He said, since this is getting some attention, I just want to say that leaks suck. They're extremely hurtful to the devs who work tirelessly to bring you these wonderful games. Public-facing assets take a long time to create, revise, approve, localize, clear, legal, ESRB, etc. Be kind, okay? So he basically retweets Naughty Dog, and Naughty Dog's like, yeah, we're rebuilding all of the gameplay mechanics, and they said that back in June, and then he basically says, leaks suck, and here's why. So then Sony pushes out a video seemingly in response to the negative press and the narrative that was forming around no gameplay changes. It's the video that's running in the corner right now. It's extensive. They're talking about everything they did to the game, and Samuel retweeted this video and said the following. 10-minute videos don't happen overnight, by the way. Super proud of everyone involved with this trailer and really happy with how it turned out. Hope you enjoy. So I think he's trying to let people know, like, listen, this wasn't slapped together as a response, but more than likely it was published earlier than they were intending, because the narrative of no gameplay changes was getting traction and the negative press headlines were pretty much everywhere. The video comes in just under 11 minutes, and it outlines the massive amount of work that they poured into the remake. It's undeniably a remake after you watch this video. It's not a remaster. Remasters tend to just increase texture, some lighting maybe, and some resolution. This is a total remake from the bottom to the top, and they've made lots of updates to the gameplay, not just the graphics. Now, some people were hoping to see a dodge or a prone, things that were added in The Last of Us Part 2. They wanted to see that that sort of baked into part 1. I think that's understandable after playing the better or upgraded version of The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, but to go back into an old game with settings and environments and fights and start adding brand new movement mechanics was probably too difficult. And also they said, maybe not too difficult, but it might have really changed the substance of the game. They said, this is not different, it's just better. So they didn't want it to be a different gameplay experience, which is what new mechanics would have done. Polished, improved, or rebuilt mechanics, fine, but brand new mechanics would have fundamentally changed how combat flowed, which would have made it feel like a different game. And as they said, it's not different, it's just better. As always, if you like these quick updates, hit subscribe and the bell button. I'll see you in the next video. And check out Reforge Gaming, where I stream live. We'll see you in the next one. And I'll see the rest of you right now. Thank you so much for being here this morning. This one, I had to change my headline and my thumbnail like 3 different times because the story kept changing. First, I was going to be like, look, somebody's lying, okay? Kill you, thank you for 19 months of membership. That's a big milestone. Welcome back in. Happy Friday, everybody. You made it to the end of the week. Celebrate with some Reforged roast, celebrate with a membership, support the channel in all those different ways. Tell you what, just make sure you're on live chat and smash that like button. Let's have a strong start this morning. I was literally going to run with the headline of like, somebody's lying, okay? What's good, feed? Good to see you in the chat. Because if you read the Sony blog, it's like, they promised some pretty significant things for this game, and we've got leaks that look fine, but then you got a leaker saying there's no gameplay changes, there's no gameplay updates, or what's the exact phrase everybody was running with? No gameplay improvements. That was the headline. Everybody was running with that headline of, you know, The Last of Us Remake, no gameplay improvements, which sounds kind of strange, especially, as I said, if you go and read the blog from Sony, it's clear they did way more, or they were planning on doing way more than just making it look pretty, okay? And many people need to understand the difference between remaster and remake because there are significant differences between them. A remaster just goes back and tries to make everything look really nice and look better. They don't necessarily do anything to the game itself. They just sort of retexture rooms, characters, etc. They don't actually fundamentally change the game itself. Everyone assumed prone dodge would be added to the game, and then it got sour, says Barrier. The more I've thought about that, the more I understand why people might have wanted that, but I also understand why the guys that worked on this are like, we're making it better, but we're not making it different, right? It's not going to be a different game. It would be a different game if you were able to dodge or go prone, because the first game you can't do that. So the rooms, the intensity, the hiding, the combat, all of that would have fundamentally changed if you suddenly had 2 completely brand new movement options that weren't in the game previously. It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't. That's not what we want. Hang on a minute. What in the world? Oh, we watched that video yesterday. You just got to see the dashboard, which isn't that interesting. There we go. Let me get out of studio mode. I was like, say what now? So I mean, they fundamentally have changed what the game looks like, how it runs, and they've improved the game. But you're not going to suddenly be able to be like rolling around on the ground or crawling under things. So sure, it's not made from the ground up then? I'm not sure what you're pushing back on, Cliffo. I don't know why people doubted Naughty Dog given their track record. I'll gladly take the best version on PC of this masterpiece. Games are the most disposable media due to hardware limits. Extending longevity is a plus. You need to make the enemies adjust to that also. Right. They said they overhauled everything. Stop blaming people. I'm not blaming people. Like, why is that a reasonable expectation? Like, let's just take Dark Souls. Imagine if Elden Ring would have been called Dark Souls 4, okay? Let's just say they called it Dark Souls 4, and it's got jumping in it, right? And it adds a whole new layer of attacks with jumping attacks and increased damage. if they would have then decided that they were going to remaster and remake Dark Souls 3, would you just automatically assume they would go back and bake in jumping? Oh, not me, the chat. Okay. Like, that's my point, though, is I think people's expectations about dodging and going prone, I honestly feel like it's super bizarre. This adaptive trigger section, how they talk about it, is so cool. How it's going to feel to shoot the bow. I can attest to the adaptive triggers feeling really, really cool when I used it in Horizon Forbidden West. But then when he gets to this section about the shotgun, he says first you're going to feel the vibration for the shot, and then you're going to feel that when you ratchet the next shot. And he said the speaker actually makes a little sound for it. So it sounds like something in your hands makes a sound and you feel it. He says it's a really nice touch, which that might seem minor, but I'm actually pretty excited about that aspect, to be like, all right, let me take a look at this here. I want to see what this feels and sounds like to feel and hear the shotgun in my hand making sounds. Sandybot, overhauling can literally mean anything. Why would you expect them to add stuff? They said overhaul, not add. I blame people 100%, says Butters. I'll be hyped to lay waste to some bloaters with the flamethrower and the hand cannon again, and the section where Ellie assaults the cannibal base. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Is that when it's like snowing and you can barely see? They did implement the Last of Us 2 enemy AI, so implementing a dodge would make sense. I understand why they didn't. Yeah, Eugene, I mean, I could definitely feel like if they came out and said, we're updating, let's just say back when they announced this, if they would have said, hey, we're updating the AI to be like The Last of Us 2, I can understand somebody being like, oh, I bet you we're going to get dodge. I bet you we're going to get dodge or prone or whatever the heck. But they didn't say that back then. I mean, you're finding it out now. I'm just saying, back when they announced this, it's possible, because I didn't play The Last of Us 1 recently. I've played it a long time ago, and I've not played The Last of Us 2. It's possible that my expectations weren't attached to any of those things. I was like, oh, that'll be awesome. The Last of Us 1 was such a good game. I'll have a reason to replay it. I mean, look at these graphics, right? It'll be so much fun to play this enhanced, rebuilt game, okay? So maybe that's what it is really, really big fans who had just recently played The Last of Us 2 were like, oh man, they're going to be bringing all of the good things that The Last of Us 2 had, and that's going to be, that's going to be pretty significant. That's going to mean that I'm going to be able to get all those newer movement options and things. Spider Brother, they're different from existing ones already. Hang on, I'm trying to read things. I love they're adding different outfits that you can unlock for Ellie and Joel. I don't think that was originally in the game, Butters. I don't think you could change your clothes, because like t-shirts and flannels and stuff, I feel like you pretty much, the stuff they're wearing changes throughout the game, but I don't think you could change it. It's no small update. I think we can all agree to that. But for people who own the game, I fail to see it's justifiable to label a $70 quid price tag on, says Gale. New players, I understand, but existing. Nope, outfits were fixed before. Yeah, you couldn't change your outfits. Yeah, it was just fixed. They did change throughout the game. I also think after seeing yesterday's video, it's not a big deal, says Eugene. You know what's funny, Eugene? I watched the leakers' footage of combat, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how visceral this game is. Like, Ellie's getting spooked whenever, somebody dies. She's like, oh my gosh. And like, you're getting out of breath, and you're kind of shaky. Oh, I was like, the combat in this game is visceral. Look at these changes, though. Look at these changes. This is where I think people are just being absolute haters. Like, now I want to push back on the it's not worth $70. Sure it is. It's an entirely new game. I don't agree with that. They went back and they added all of this. They rebuilt all of this. They made it look like a modern game. This looks like a game I can go buy right now. That is worth full price in my mind. They took a super old game. And they made it look like a game that I can go to the store and buy right now. The Last of Us release. It released almost 10 years ago. They're literally taking a 10-year-old game. I don't think you are owed anything if you bought the original game. You're not owed anything. It's a 10-year-old game. I can understand if the game came out like a year or two ago and they suddenly said, hey, we're doing a big remake for the PlayStation 5. We know you bought this thing just like last year, but we're doing this big update. Oh, and it's going to cost you $70. I think you'd have an argument, but it's almost a decade old at this point. I don't agree with that. How is that worth 70? That's crazy. You know what's so wonderful about the market is you don't have to buy it. No one's compelling you to, so don't buy it. I hope plenty of people do. I hope people support this type of work. I do. I think gamers need to pull their heads out of their rear ends sometimes. Not maybe you specifically, but I think gamers as a collective whole, I think a lot of the times we got to pull our heads out of our rear ends. This company took a decade-old game, completely rebuilt it and remade it, and it looks phenomenal. And you're like, I don't want to spend full price. I bought the game 10 years ago. I shouldn't have to spend full price. I don't agree with that mentality. I think that mentality is absolutely corrosive to value increase and to the future of gaming. I think it's corrosive. I think you are owed the online mode for making me pay $10 more from the original release with less content, TBH. I don't have to buy, but it's a cop-out in my opinion, but everyone has a view. Disagree. The graphical enhancements and haptic feedback and 3D audio and all the things they've done are well worth that $10. That online mode, what do you mean? Like, you're acting as if that's a permanent value transmission. You bought that 9 years ago and it had the online or whatever. They've separated the online and they're expanding it. I'm fairly certain that they're going to have the online. Is the online thing going to be free? You're shelling hard? Oh, well, if you think you're going to come in here and get any traction with an anti-intellectual, absurd, vacant argument by accusing somebody of shilling simply because they have a different argument or viewpoint than you, you're not going to get very far here, and you probably won't get very far in life. Dig a little bit deeper and try to be an intellectual. The game's not worth. The game is not worth no 70. Wow, a double negative, and he doesn't know how to spell shilling. We're dealing with an intellectual giant. The devs didn't have to go back and remake the game, just like you don't have to go and rebuy it. That's right. That's right. You're not owed any of this. You're not owed any of this. You're not owed this game at 40. You're not owed this game at 30. You're owed nothing. They went back and decided to do this, and if you want to buy it, then buy it, and if not, well, then don't. And do us all a favor and shut the frick up about price and value, because you don't know what you're talking about. I love that I love the Lono Sony shill argument has zero traction because later he'll be accused of being an Xbox shill. I was literally going to get the bat, and I was going to be like, did Sony lie to us? Like, what on earth? Like, I literally was on the phone with Creature, and I was like, I'm going to get the bat. I was like, this does not look like what they promised. And he was like, well, we got to be careful. He's like, what if it's wrong? What if it's fake? What if it's, what if it's bad footage? Just don't buy the game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're owed nothing. This is the second remake trash? No. You've proven now 3 strikes and you're out. 3 strikes and you're out. You've proven now that you don't know how to spell shilling. You did a double negative in your sentence, and now you're saying it's the second remake. So now you've proven to not just be bad at logic and reasoning, but you're intellectually dishonest. This is not what they've done before. The first one was a remaster, right? It was a remaster. And I know it's hard. I know words are difficult, especially early in the morning, but there's a giant difference between a remaster and a remake. And a remaster is where they go and just make things a little bit prettier, which they've already done. And they didn't do... I don't know what they charged for that. I don't know what they charged for that. But this is a remake. No new mocap. Actors had to be paid. No justification for the $70 price. So, David, that's the only way they could justify the $70 price point is if they did new mocap? I don't understand. So, in your mind, they have to check that box in particular in order to charge $70. The fact that they rebuilt the entire game, they added the enemy AI from another game, They completely changed and updated all the character models. They added 3D audio. They added haptic feedback, DualSense support. I don't understand. So, like, where do we... I'm just curious, where do we think we get to commentate on how much something has to have before we can charge $70 for it? Pretty sure all the actors are getting paid for using their work, more than likely. More than likely. Don't buy the game. That's a very intellectual argument. It is. Not telling you not to buy the game is actually the height of intellectualism. That's what you should do. Like, that's me being an intellectual. I'm not attacking you or getting emotional. I'm saying, well, don't buy the game then. That's actually quite intellectual. That's exactly what you should do in the market if you don't like the pricing of something, is don't buy it. That's the strongest form of communication that you have in the economy, in the trade of value transmission, is you don't buy the thing if you don't think it's worth it. You don't. That's exactly what you should do. And see, I know that stings, because what that means is you have to put your money where your mouth is, on the shelf, and not spend it, and sit out and miss out. And you don't like that. You don't like that feeling of like, well, this looks good, and I really want it, but I've established some bizarre ideology about gaming and price, and I'm not, this isn't 70, why? Well, they took a 10-year-old game and completely remade it. That's why. It's basically a brand new game. Like, I don't understand. Distorted says, generalized statement, not about this game in particular. Distorted says, let's not just say don't like it, don't buy it. More known devs should be held to certain standards and expectations. They're making a product and asking money for it. Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, Omar from the top row, just say you're broke and move on. Thank you for the $2 tip, Omar. I'm serious. I think penny pinching entitled gamers are corrosive to the market. I don't think you're good for the market, which is why I try to smack down your way of thinking. I mean it. I don't think you're good for gaming. I think you're bad for gaming. You want dollar menu gaming. You want everything to be dirt cheap. You want developers to work for nothing. Laughing at people being broke, cool. Cliffo, let's settle down, okay? Let's settle down. It was a joke, and you're supposed to laugh at jokes. Just settle down. Have you ever been here before? Do you honestly think, with my history and my demeanor and how I communicate, that I just laughed at poor people? Like, I genuinely laughed at them with mirth. Like, poor people, am I right? Like, come on, bro. It was a joke. It was a joke, homie. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to laugh at jokes. Why so serious? If anyone here can tell us exactly the development costs of remaking a 10-year-old game with updated graphics, new features, new AI, then you can define the new cost. So don't buy it. You aren't owed it. That's what I'm saying. This is their third remake with a $70 price tag. All they did was update the graphics and give you a few clothes. See, again, you're intellectually dishonest. See, that's what's funny to me. That's what's funny to me is... One of the main people engaging in this argument right now, you can't even be honest. So how strong is your argument? Your argument is so dadgum fragile that you have to hold it up with like lies. All they did was update the graphics. False. That's a lie. And give you a few clothes. False. That's a lie. You're just a liar. You're just a liar. Like, it's not even worth engaging with you. I might as well go debate a child who thinks a kitty cat actually genuinely has 9 lives. It'd be more interesting than debating a liar. They did it in a space where companies are being marched to a firing squad for EOLing titles. Here's a dev that made sure the title lived on, and they're still mad. Remember, new AI is created for Last of Us 2, so probably a week to port it to Last of Us 1. What do you mean a week to port that to Last of Us 1? Where'd you get that number, Butters? Do you work there? You're like, yeah, based on my calculations, my abacus, my TI-83 calculator, it probably took them about a week to bring the AI over. How do you even know that? It could have taken them 3 months because of all the differences in the architecture and the aggro detection, aggro funnels, aggro circumference, aggro audio detection. There's all these different things that enemies do, and you're like, yeah, about a week. What do you mean about a week? Based on what? It's an entirely different game. Luis Castillo with a $5 tip through Super Chat. This remake really is for gamers like me, a person who has never played a game from the series. I'll be buying it on PC and enjoying it. That's my man right there. It's a TI-89, sir. There are 50 people working on that, more than likely. Where'd you get that number? Where did you get that number? Are you fully bent over like Jim Carrey right now and just pulling things directly from your rear end? Where did you get that number? 50 people, about a week. Based on what? What information, expertise do you have? What do you have to say that? I swear to frick, I wish I could call these devs up on the phone sometimes and be like, about how long did it take you guys to bring the AI from Last of Us 2 over Last of Us 1? Well, you got to think about how nuanced that answer is. We actually had 2 separate departments, and they had to build the groundwork first, but then they had to figure out a way to convert and interpret the different algorithmic reactions of each enemy, because some enemies react more to sound, some to light, some to movement, some to aggro funnel. You've got to be directly in front of them. So we had to do interpretation and contextualization of each of those things so that each enemy responded appropriately and didn't just completely fundamentally break down and not react appropriately. So it actually was an ongoing process. We didn't do it in one fell swoop. We sort of did it as we go. Shut the frick up! Like, that's probably close to an answer that you would get. You don't know what the frick you're talking about. There's literally no way they pushed a couple of buttons and they were like, yeah, man. Yeah, bro, we brought over the whole AI. We brought it all over. What are you talking about? There's no way to know that. It could have been an ongoing struggle. Look at this game. Look at the stuff that they did. Flanking path, cost, unexposed length, linear to path. We've got over here, we've got stand ground open, invalid cover, enter, defend cover. All these different things, they might have had to do it as they went. Because if you throw new AI in a game, it could break every encounter, every room, every fight could break down and not work right. You see what I'm saying? You're literally speaking directly out of your rear end. There's no way for you to know that. They could have did it as they went because they literally had to do it for every room, every encounter, every fight. Google search saying up to 6 months on smaller projects to port a full game on average, so I don't know, just a Google search. Oh, guys, go write a thesis then, Butters. You just did a Google search. You're ready to get your doctorate in game dev, bro. Wow. They redid Buddy AI. They redid animation prediction. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. This company, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Remake rumors started around 2020. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Do you see this video? They look at this video. They went back and they rebuilt the entire game. Look at all the things they're talking about. They're like, yeah, we had to fiddle around with this and here and sneaking and how this guy walked up. Oh, and by the way, we also had to completely rebuild the animations. We have to do predictive animations on your movement. So what it's doing here is it's predicting, because we want it to feel accurate to when you decide to do something in your motion, and you're like, dude, bro, they just made it look prettier, bro. They just gave us some new clothes. It's awful. Pull your chat. Pull my chat about what, David? What do you want me to pull my chat about? I got news for you. If you think you're gonna win some negative, this is overpriced narrative, if you think you're gonna win that, you don't know what channel you're in. You don't know what channel you're in. I think the corrosive, entitled. I'm not willing to spend money for anything great or cool. I think that you're the minority, and I want you to feel that. I do. I want you to feel that. Poll it then. What would you like the poll to state? What are we asking? Is The Last of Us 2 Remake worth $70? It's an overpriced remaster. This is a remaster, not a rebuild. Garrett, are you wearing a blindfold? Are you not watching this video that I'm watching? Do you understand the difference between a remaster and a rebuild? The remaster and a remake? They're literally telling you in this video how they rebuilt everything. And you're like, nope, 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 nope. Oh, no, man. Oh, Phil Spencer, I love you. No, bro, this is just a remaster. Oh, baby. Shut the frick up. Shut up. This isn't a remaster. Stop rubbing your Xbox controller on your face. Stop dreaming of Phil Spencer. Quit it. Just freaking quit it. You sound like a clown. You absolutely sound like a clown. They put together a 10-minute video. A 10-minute video outlining every single piece of the game that they've rebuilt. And you're like, no, bro, it's just a remaster. Quit sitting on your Xbox. Quit it. It's not going to marry you. It's not going to give you children. You're literally a PS dude. Well, that's what you sound like. You sound like you're sucking on an Xbox controller like a pacifier in the mouth of a baby. That's what you sound like when you say something that dumb. I'm getting the bat out every time this happens. I don't care. I don't care if it's a long-standing member. I'm hitting you right across the jaw with the bat. You sound like a clown when you watch an 11-minute video about how every square inch of this game's been remade, and you're like, it's a remaster. You just sound like a clown. Poll the chat. You're trolling. Fine. You want a poll? I'll give you a poll. The Last of Us Remake. Is it worth $70? I'm gonna make it real easy, yes or no. I'm gonna make it real easy for the people who are obsessed with hating on everything. I'm gonna make it real easy, yes or no. The Last of Us Remake, is it worth $70? There you go. You're a biased Sony boy. Oh, and you're an adorable chimpanzee. Why you gotta make it about Xbox, though? Why else would anybody come in here and have that attitude? I don't understand. FIFA 23 is $70 and it's a DLC. Phil coming in with a 2-month milestone. Again, it's subjective. No, it's not. If your mama told you you were special, if somebody's convinced you that all opinions are equal, rip that out of your skull because they lied to you. All opinions are not equal. Opinions can be wrong, and this is not subjective. Let me teach you the difference between subjective and objective. Subjective is like, I don't like pizza. Objective is, that's a pizza. Do you understand the difference? Factual statement, that's a pizza. Subjective statement, I don't like pizza. This is a remake. That's not subjective. It's a fact. It's an objective fact of reality. It's not up to your opinion. I don't care how much your mama gives you on your lunch. I don't care how long you've lived at home. None of that has anything to do with this. This is a remake. They've remade the game. Your subjective opinion, your idea that what you think is just as legitimate as somebody else, no. If you think this is not a remake and a remaster, you're too dumb to talk to. You're just too dumb. You don't get it. This is not subjective. It's an objective fact that this is a remake. Your insistence on calling it something else is just a lack of intelligence. By the way, I like your shirt. Thank you. If you use the shirt command, it'll take you to the Batman collection over at 80s Tees. The poll's splitting right down the middle. I'm very disappointed. I'm extremely disappointed in you guys. Remake, remaster, same thing, different shine. What do you... No! No, Frostbite. No. Remake, remaster, same thing, different shine. That is absolutely fundamentally false. That's not true. What did you guys wake up this morning? What's today? July 22nd? Is July 22nd say dumb stuff day? Are we supposed to just all say things that are false today? That's not true. Remakes and remasters, they're not synonymous. We have two different terms for a freaking reason. What is happening? That's not true. Story is the same, but red herring, fallacious. That's a red herring. The story has nothing to do with the terms remake and remaster. Try again. Try to substantiate your claim with something that's not fallacious. Get back up off the canvas and try again. Thank you for a 4-month milestone from Toretto. I love when Lono starts waving the bat at the monkeys. Super Mario All-Stars, what was that then? What are we going to do, whataboutism? I don't give a frick about other games. I'm watching an 11-minute video from developers that remade virtually every part of the game. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, the poll is absolutely killing me. Absolutely killing me. I wish I could make it to where you could only vote in the poll if you have a PlayStation. I disagree. I'm not paying for a game. I can just boot up again and replay. Do that, Roger. Do that. When this game comes out, Roger, I'll play it on stream, and you boot up yours, and I want you to put my stream side by side, and I want you to say with a straight face, we're playing the same game, man. It's the same. Why would I buy it? Yeah, okay. You play your PS4 version, and I'll play my PS5 remake. And I want you to say with a straight face that you're playing a decade-old 30 FPS low-resolution game, and you're like, it's the same game, bro. I don't know why you bought that. I don't understand why you did that. Like driving around in a Ford Model T and being like, I don't understand why you bought that Jeep. It's basically the same shape as this first car ever built. Disappointed in what? The fact that people aren't willing to pay full price on something they can play on PS Plus right now? Yes, it's prettier and the controls are better, but not worth full price. Yeah, it's disappointing that people are that dumb. It is. What you just typed, Texas, I'm disappointed that you think that. I am. It's disappointing. I thought I did a better job. I thought I did a better job as a streamer and as a content creator. I've failed you, if that's what you think. I have failed. I have absolutely fundamentally failed as a content creator if half the people in here think that. I've failed you, Anakin. Like, if you think that, then we have a long way to go as gamers. That I can play this right now. Why would I spend $70 on it? How is that done? I just don't understand where the mentality comes from. I don't understand where the mentality comes from. I don't get it. I don't know where it happened or how it happened. What's wrong with people thinking it isn't worth it? Why does that hurt you? It hurts me because it's corrosive on the industry to tell a developer, hey, you took a 10-year-old game and you completely rebuilt it, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It looks close to a next-gen title. That's phenomenal. And we don't want to pay for it. Or we want to pay like half price, right? I think that's corrosive on the industry. I do. I think it's corrosive on the industry. I don't think it's good for the industry and where we're going. Because I want new stuff. I want better stuff. I want developers to make buckets of cash, because then they're going to keep making games. A $5 tip from Kofi. People complain about $70 for 20 hours of entertainment, but they'll gladly pay $25 to rent some movie on some derivative streaming service. What a joke. Like everybody's scared. Everybody's scared about Diablo Immortal. Let me connect some dots for you. Okay, let me connect some dots for you. Everybody's scared about Diablo Immortal. Do you want to know why people are scared about Diablo Immortal? Because it's going to actually successfully launch in China, which means the amount of money that game's able to make is about to become God tier. Absolutely insane God tier. And if you think that console saturation is enough to even compete with PC saturation or mobile saturation in the gaming market, you're not paying the frick attention. So, when I look at the console market, and I look at polls like today, and I see the dialogue in my chat that I see today, you know what I think? We're on a real fast track to encouraging publishers and developers of abandoning making cool games or awesome games or super dope stuff for our PlayStation 5s and our Xbox Series X. We're going to end up with a bunch of dollar store video games, and a lot of these developers are going to be like, frick those kids, we're going over here. Let's just make a mobile game. Let's just make a mobile game. All they do is whine and cry about price, and they expect to get a discount because they bought a game 10 years ago, or we added all these extra features to Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut, and they don't want to pay for it. So you know what? Just stop doing it. Shut down the 3D audio department. Fire the people that we hired to help with haptic feedback. Get rid of the people that understand how to do ray tracing and new texture mapping. Just get rid of all of them. We don't need them because the market's not valuing it. So why would we continue to do it? Why? Bootlicking now? Oh, yes. Yes. You've really achieved the height of an intellectual argument by accusing me of bootlicking. Yeah. After I just trotted out economic realities about the market and mobile saturation, PC saturation versus console saturation, way more money can be made on a mobile game almost overnight, and the console market continues to prove itself to be one that is stingy and cheap. So, yeah, I'm bootlicking though. Great argument. You really stepped up on the podium and landed a great point. Everyone's going to turn around in 5 years and be like, surprise Pikachu face scratching their head. I don't get it. I don't understand. Why'd they stop making games for us? It's just unbelievable. Why would they abandon this market? I mean, we moaned and complained and were unwilling to spend an extra $10, you know, and if you look at inflation, this is virtually the only market that's been immune to the inflation. I mean, look at price of movies, music, go to the movie theater. I mean, even renting movies. It's all more expensive, but video games somehow just never was just immune to inflation, and all we did was complain and cry about a $10 price increase. I just don't understand why they abandoned the market. It's just bewildering. How about you ask this to these people? Do you want it to support the devs or not? It's as simple as that. Driving corporations toward Diablo Immortal type monetization is way more bootlicky than anything Lono said. $2 from Anodyne Star. I'll buy a Dead Space remake for $70, for example. Right? Boo Defu says, this take is full corporate soy. Well, thanks for the $2. I appreciate that. I'll buy some Sony napkins and wipe my mouth when I eat my lunch with your $2, because frick you. Tommy Humphreys with the 9-month milestone. PS6 games will cost $130. See, this is my favorite. Tell me that you don't have an argument by just jumping to insults, that I'm bootlicking or that I'm a shill or that I'm a Sony fanboy. I love when people just immediately concede that they have no argument. Rudeness is the weak man's imitation of strength. All you're doing is conceding you have no argument. If I start trotting out all the things they did in this game, all the changes, all the updates, the economic realities of the mobile market and the PC market, the economic realities of inflation, and somehow games have been immune to virtually every other digital form of entertainment dramatically inflating in price except for games. I trot all that out and talk about how if we don't value certain things, companies won't continue to do them. And you're like, shill, you're just a shill. You sound like a Sony fanboy. You sound like a caveman with zero intellect and the lack of ability to engage in an intellectual argument. You're basically just abandoning the argument and insulting me on the way out. You have no argument. Like, your intellectual, skill tree is at a -2. You're not even attempting to make an argument. I trot out all these realities and all these factors, and we haven't even begin to talk about the fact that, devs' margins are usually razor thin. They're usually razor thin. But oh yeah, I'm just a fanboy. Make an argument. Remake versus remaster. Which one are you okay paying full price for is the better question. It depends on what they did with the remaster, and depends on how old the game is. That's the truth. Lono has a meltdown. If you think this is a meltdown, if you think me slamming your face into the canvas and rubbing it in the dirt, if you think this is a meltdown, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Your stance might have more weight if those game artists were in fact paid the extra $10. They are not. That money goes to the publisher and shareholders. You think you've made a great point, but you've actually hurt your side. You think you've made a good point, but you've actually hurt your side. The fact of the matter is, the more revenue this generates, the more successful this is, and that extra $10 really helps with that, to be fair. Okay? That actually helps with royalty payout and future investments in the company. So you think you've made some grand point. Yeah, but the artist that worked on that doesn't get a raise. No. But the contractual agreement with the publisher is a lot nicer if the game does absolutely stellar well. They make a better royalty check. They get their royalty check sooner. They likely get reinvested in. Maybe they grow. Maybe you should look at the growth patterns of Guerrilla or Insomniac and how well their games have done and what that relationship meant with the publisher. Before you start trotting out some idea that what? So then we should be really stingy and always wait for a game sale and games should only be $40 because would that be better for the artist? Lono insulted me first by calling me a fanboy when I've never even owned an Xbox. With respect, Garrett, when you're going to look at a 10-minute long video talking about everything they remade and you're going to trot out an intellectually bankrupt, dishonest statement that it's a remaster, yeah, I'm going to insult you because you deserve it. You deserve to be insulted and to be told you sound like an Xbox clown fanboy when you watch an 11-minute long video where the developers in detail walk through everything they've remade and you're like, it's just a remaster. Shut the frick up. You sound like a clown and you should be told that. You should literally be told that you sound like a clown. Naughty Dog Dev says studio success is mostly due to Sony-funded delays rather than skill. What are they saying? Sony helped them? They paid them during delays? No, Lono, bad take, bro. Bad take. No. If you're going to say something that's absolutely intellectually bankrupt and false, you deserve to be told that you sound like an idiot. All that detail, but it still don't look much different than the original. Another intellectually bankrupt, dishonest statement. That's false. That's objectively false. That's demonstrably false. That's not true. I don't care if you think, well, that's my opinion. Your opinion's wrong. If you actually think it doesn't look much different than the original, then again, you're just a liar. You're just lying. You're an axe-grinding liar. I don't have time for people like you. It's not enjoyable to interact with people who will literally look at a game that is completely and utterly rebuilt and be like, it doesn't look much better than the original. Like that's just dishonest. You're not saying something that's intellectually credible. Pull the screenshots up? Yeah, like, get me some of the screenshot comparisons. You don't read comments with actual intelligent rebuttals? You presume that I'm ignoring intelligent rebuttals as the chat scrolls really fast and the stream is very full. So, unsurprising, David, that you're presuming something about me, as you've said numerous times this morning, you know, passive swipes at me that I'm having a meltdown. You're lucky you're even still here with how you've engaged this morning. Aren't everything dealing with this topic our opinions? No. Nope. No. It's all about the exchange. A product for my money. I don't do that support the devs BS. They aren't looking out for you, and you don't know if you will like any other products they put your money for. No. I'm not saying support the devs. I'm saying support quality and value. I just pointed out it's not completely rebuilt. There's tons of evidence they didn't even replace the textures on many of the assets. Look how blurry they are. 1K textures tops in certain areas. Yeah, but that doesn't give credibility to your argument. If you have to comb over footage and find like little individual pieces in rooms that maybe have textures that haven't been completely like all the way taken up, that doesn't substantiate the claim that like, oh, this is just a remaster. SkillUp's been vocal about the remake since the announcement of it. Did we really need this remake, though? Of all the titles they could remake, do we need a remake of The Last of Us? A generational defining game doesn't deserve a remake. I don't understand. List everything new? What do you mean list everything? So you want me to do my research for you? What, is it too hard to watch an 11-minute long video that outlines all the things that they did? Is that too hard? Like, here's the problem. I could read through the entire Naughty Dog blog about this. Do you know how many people are going to change their minds? None. The people that are in here that are trotting out a false narrative that this is just a remaster, that this is garbage, that I shouldn't have to pay any money because I bought the game 10 years ago, they're not going to be convinced if the blog doesn't list everything in bullet point. It doesn't. I mean, I could read this paragraph that they've got, but this isn't like bullet points of everything that they outlined in the 11-minute long video. It just sat and ran behind me for like 30 minutes. We just watch the videos of community, so the ones that are saying nothing is new can shut up. It's been running behind me for 30 minutes. They don't care. They're literally putting a blindfold on and walking around with an axe. $70 is too much. It's a linear remaster. I disagree. I think going back and grabbing a 10-year-old game and completely rebuilding it, I think that's worth it. I do. It feels good seeing comments filled with people who actually know what they're talking about instead of this Sony blank. See, again, the reason you're going to get banned, this is going to be hard for you to understand because you're not an intellectual and you're not intelligent. Because you immediately just resort to an insult. Like, you're putting on demonstration your lack of an ability to put forth an argument. So I'm going to say things that might be hard for you to understand. Okay? You're assuming that people know what they're talking about, and every single person that's attempted to talk about this today has presumed they know about development, and they don't. So you're endorsing expertise and knowledge in people that have no expertise and knowledge. And then you're springboarding off of that and insulting me. Like, that's how shaky and empty and vapid your argument is. You don't have one. You don't have an argument. Just ordered some coffee. Thank you. You're literally building your entire stance off of the presumption and the confirmation bias of like, oh, here's a bunch of people that agree with me. Yeah, and everything they've said is based on ignorance. Nobody here is a game dev. Nobody here worked on this project. So you have no idea the amount of work it took. You have no idea the amount of investment and capital and bandwidth that they had to pour into this. You don't. You're relying on people with zero expertise and zero intelligence to be like, well, yeah, they agree with me. Like, you don't have an argument? My argument is that it's a remake. My argument has been factual. It's a remake. They've completely rebuilt systems. I've not been arguing whether or not you should spend $70, right? I've not been saying that. I've not been saying, oh, you should spend $70. I've been engaging with intellectually bankrupt, dishonest statements like, it's just a remaster. It doesn't look that much better than the last one. Oh, I can boot up and play this game right now. I can play the same game. Those are just a bunch of false statements. They're just false statements. I'm not trying to convince you to spend $70. When $70 came up, go back, watch the broadcast. I don't delete my VODs, right? I'm not one of those people. I don't do that. I said, then don't buy it. I said the beautiful thing about the market is, if you don't think it's worth it, then don't spend the money on it. And then the poll, I said, yeah, the poll is disappointing. The poll is disappointing because it's absolutely corrosive on a market that's attempting to invest in new departments, new staff, new employees, new efforts, and say, let's build all this extra new stuff in our games that we weren't previously building. Well, that's going to cost more money. We just read the other day about the people working on Metro. They didn't want to just seemingly lower resolution because they said it would be costly bandwidth-wise and costly development-wise because they'd have to spend a bunch of extra months working on that. So when someone says, oh, we're going to add new departments, new features, new things to games, that's expensive. And for them to do that, guess what they have to do? They have to go to the publisher and they have to say, the scope of this project is larger than the last time. Here's all the reasons why. They substantiate the scope increase. They substantiate the budgetary increase. And then the publisher gives them more money. Do you know what that means? That means they need to make more money. They need to charge more money. So when the developers of a game go to Sony and say, these are all the things we're going to need to do if we're going to do 3D audio, haptic feedback, instantaneous load time, interacting with the new SSD architecture, adding new textures, adding better resolution, adding ray tracing. If we're going to do all that, we have to license all this new software. We have to hire these new people. We have to expand in these other departments. And in order for us to do that, it's going to cost more money. Do you honestly think that these companies are going to Sony and saying, well, we're going to remaster this or remake this, or we're going to go into this game and add all this, and it doesn't cost anything? It's a miracle. Oh my gosh, it's free. No, it costs more money. Budgets for video games are going up, and gamers are acting like a $10 price increase is the end of the world. What I'm saying is you think the money will go to the developers and it's good for gaming. That's just naive, not native. Naive, man, you don't know that. I already addressed this, Lewis. What you don't know is how it works because, again, you're speaking on something you clearly haven't researched. The way the contracts with the publishers traditionally work is there's a threshold where they're paid a royalty. So if the price of the game is at $40 versus $70 and it sells really, really well, all that extra money helps them get a larger royalty check. Potentially they get it sooner. And not only do they get it sooner, they're more likely to get reinvestment in their next project. You're acting like the price increase will never help the developer, which that's naive. If you want to talk about naive, that's naive. You think a game sells 1 million units at 70 versus 60. You don't think that would be good for the developer? What that money just disappears into the ether or just lines the pockets of a CEO's yacht? You're trolling? I'm not trolling. Is that your only response today? Is that I'm trolling? Every time I say something that's difficult to, insert into your predetermined narrative? Lono, can't inform them. They don't want to hear. Do I need to find the stats on Sony's reinvestment and growth into their studios? Yeah, this isn't Sony fanboyism. If you were an investor right now, and you were looking at companies that you wanted to invest in, you'd be looking at Guerrilla, you'd be looking at Insomniac. you'd be looking at companies that are growing. They're in a reinvestment relationship because of their success and the profit that they generated. So yes, increasing the price of the game has a direct correlation and relationship to the success and the health of a developer. What do you think is going to happen to a developer if they come out and they're like, we're going to charge $40? Have you ever watched Shark Tank? Have you ever watched that? You should watch Shark Tank, because one of the questions they commonly ask is this: how much are you charging per unit? And how much does it cost you to make per unit? And they start jotting down on their little pieces of paper, right? They're making quick calculations, okay? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to zero in on one or two things or both. They're going to say, you're not charging enough. Or you got to get costs down. Operations is too expensive. We need to move operations into Asia. Right? They're always doing that. So this idea that like, oh, if they charge more money for a game, that's not going to help the developer. You're not even remotely stepping on the landscape of the economic realities of developer and publisher relationships. You're not. You're not even entering the landscape of the discussion if you think, well, no, they could charge $50 and it wouldn't affect them at all. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. What you think, I think some of you honestly think this. You think that all the money goes to the publisher, and the publisher's like, yes. Oh, we made tons of money. And now we let you stay open. We'll let you continue to work. No, they're not some Bond villain. There's a contract. There's royalties. There's a relationship between them that the amount of money the game generates significantly gets dumped into either a royalty check, reinvestment in the next project. Like, it's a better relationship if the game does well. If you don't think it's worth 70 and you're going to substantiate your position with, I'm not impressed. I don't think it looks good enough. I don't want to play a game that I've already played before. I know what happens. That's totally fine. I'm not trying to convince people that you should buy it. What I'm doing is I'm taking a machete to just statements that are false. And people are like, well, don't focus on those people. Don't focus on those people. Isn't it a lot more entertaining to have me wound up and slicing and dicing, bankrupt arguments instead of like what? Me just reading people that agree with me? Argument from early, I don't understand. Not paying the actors. Why would anyone think the voice actors signed off on their likeness being used again for free? I'm about 90% they had to pay these voice actors again, even if at a limited rate for a renewed contract on this project. Yeah, why do you think they showed up when they announced it at Summer Game Fest? That's probably part of the contracted deal. Hey, you want to use our stuff again? We want to be a part of the promotional circuit. We want to be out there in front. Why? That's good for them. That's good for them. It's good for their brand. It's worth $70, but you're not interested in the remake. You don't have to find a flaw until you actually have one. They did $10 less work on the Spider-Man game coming to PC. No. That's different. That's a remastered port. Try again. And a lot of the remastered work's already been done. Take this chat as the market. 200 people at 70 is 14.4K. I'm sure at 50 would be higher and break even is 80 people switching sides. There's too much presumption built in there. A lot of people that voted no don't even have the console. A lot of people that voted no are just Xbox guys. I'm not saying everybody that voted no is an Xbox guy. But the people voting no, we have a ton of people here that just, they don't like Sony, they don't want Sony. I was playing a Sony game the other day, and they just immediately came in and said negative things about it. How many times is Naughty Dog going to release The Last of Us, the original, the remaster, and the remake? That's where my problem is. Enough Last of Us. Move on from it. I don't agree with that, and here's why, Abe. I'm going to make a long tail argument here. This is a long tail argument. We have been talking about Sony games coming to PC. We've been talking about Sony games coming to PC for a while now. And one of the things that has emerged from the narrative is that the developers were constantly begging Sony to let them put the games on PC. They were begging, right? They were begging. And I'm gonna make this argument, and when I make this argument, I'm gonna show you guys. Hopefully I don't crash my freaking computer. These images are dadgum huge, right? While I'm making this argument, I'm going to show people how silly they sound when they say this game doesn't look any different, right? I want to show you why some of you guys either need to get your eyes checked or take off the clown makeup, all right? Do one or the other, okay? Do one or the other, because you just sound silly, okay? So I'm going to make this argument while I'm going to scroll through these images every once in a while. So something we've been talking about is Sony games coming to PC, and in that discussion, it has emerged that this game company situation with Sony, they were constantly saying, "Please let us put our games on PC, please." Okay. Now, why do you think that is? If you spend 5 minutes playing God of War or Days Gone, you will quickly see why. If you look at the footage of Spider-Man coming to PC, you will quickly see why. You'll quickly see it, okay? These games have been significantly held back by the weaker hardware. These games have essentially been really, really amazing PC games on the PlayStation 4 on a weaker system. So the developers have been begging, like, please let us put our games on PC. So, what do you think is happening when they start seeing the capabilities of what they could do if they take one of the most well-known PlayStation titles, probably a generation-defining game, outside of God of War and Forbidden West, The Last of Us is one of the most well-known, most praised games that Sony has ever put out, right, on their platform. So it stands to reason that the developers started looking at what they could do and saying, oh my gosh, we really need to bring that up to the fidelity and have some parity with The Last of Us 2. That would be amazing. That would be something that would be incredible, right? So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Like, that looks like a real person in the right frame. She looks real. That's close to Uncanny Valley realism in character design. And the one next to me is like dirt. Come on. You just sound like a clown when you say it's just a remaster. It doesn't really look any different. What? It looks like a real person. Devs have a salary and are paid that, along with the cost of developing the game by the publisher, regardless how well the game does. Bonuses or not, the game price is set by and benefits the publisher. False. No. The way that these companies are paid royalties and get reinvestment agreements in second projects are often determined by revenue and margins generated by the sales of the game. That's false. It doesn't just benefit the publisher. That is simply untrue. A $10 tip from Roger. Hey, Lono, just got back from Rack and watching the 11-minute video. I take back what I said. I'm actually buying this remake. You see, there's an intellectual willing to research and adjust their position. I need to thank somebody for ordering some Reforge roast. We have been hot in the fire all morning. Thank you so much. He said it earlier. He ordered some, so I don't want to say his full name. He ordered a bag of light roast. Listen, if you guys want to support the channel, I know some of you guys are getting snarky and taking swipes at me. You have fundamentally failed to engage in an argument, and a couple people got banned because they were literally just hurling insults. I've not been banning people for disagreeing with me. I banned 2 people because they literally insulted me at least 3 times. The one guy called me something that I don't even want to say out loud. So, I am a safe for work broadcaster. It gets spicy. It gets hot. I think the harshest thing I said this morning is you sound dumb, right? You sound dumb. Okay? Make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button if you're enjoying the topics and the discussions. We do an interactive talk show like this all week long. We've covered so many subjects this morning, and we've got more to talk about today. This is our lead topic. This is our starting show, okay? I'm also doing a podcast later with my buddies. So make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit like. If you want to support the channel directly, we've been streaming for about an hour. You're going to notice something. There's not been any ads. There's been no ad breaks. There's been no inserted ads. YouTube wants live streamers to insert ads. I don't like doing that. I would rather you do a membership. You can do a $5 membership. You can click the join button. It's blue, the join link in the description, or use the join command in chat, or you can gift members. Tonight, Friday night, is a members only night where my wife and I play some games together, and once a month it's community game night. Community game night is next week. Members only Friday night. Bring your drinks, bring your laughs. Get Fall Guys installed. It's fun. I don't care if you don't like it. It's a free game on every platform, okay? So let's get some gifted members and some new members and some coffee orders. The guy who ordered the coffee, this is ours, by the way. This is not a sponsor. Reforge Roast. We have a light and a dark roast. If you're a coffee drinker and you've never tried coffee with balanced acidity, you should try our coffee. There's zero bitterness. My wife and kiddos ship that to you. It's not a sponsor, so you're supporting a small business, and you'll usually have it within a couple of days. Most coffee companies, you're going to spend the same as what you spend with us, but it's going to take 2 weeks to show up. So those are all the ways you can support what I do here every day. We keep it safe for work, even if it gets spicy. So a lot of people throw me on in the background of their day like a radio show or a podcast. So I want to restate my position because it got wild, right? It got wild. This guy says, congratulations on your $10 shill. It's honestly a bad remake. You need to do more research than just watch an 11-minute response video to multiple leaks. Neil's a manipulator and a liar. Okay, well, you're not allowed to hang out here anymore because that's about the third or fourth time you've insulted me and called me some sort of a name. So you lack the intellectual ability to hang out here. I should do some research. What? Where am I going to do my research? Reddit and 4chan? Bunch of lying leakers. The one leaker said there had been no gameplay improvements. He's the liar, and you're being manipulated by that. So take your tiny manipulated brain and go somewhere else. Zyber with 5 gifted memberships. Fancy Man. New Nizorn. The Spy Who Swags. Samuel Bovard and Skylar all grabbed a gifted membership. If you have a membership, newly gifted, or it's your own and you paid for it, man, get in the Discord, right? Read this. I have the bullet list from the blog. Okay, so Quiet Shy Girl has given me a bullet list. You're a champion. Bullets can damage concrete and environmental objects. So these are visual benefits. I'm going to read visual benefits to you. Bullets can damage concrete and environmental objects. Cutscenes transition seamlessly to gameplay. Character animations flow more convincingly, intuitively, and realistically. Improved character facial expressions. Characters have more details on their appearance. That's just visual. Okay, so that's all the people saying it's just a remaster. That's all the visual stuff they did. And even a lot of times remasters won't go that far. A lot of times the remasters will just do resolution increase and texture resolution increase. AI upgrades. Characters inhabit the world in more realistic ways. Buddy characters navigate, cover, and avoid enemy NPCs subtle and more authentically. Sometimes in the past, your buddy would like walk right in front of a bad guy and nothing would happen. Integrated fan requests. Permadeath mode. Speedrun mode. Character costumes. 60+ accessibility options. So this accessibility options is a huge win. They've got a lot of accessibility options in God of War Ragnarok as well. Audio description mode. Plus 60 FPS, haptic feedback and DualSense controller, and 3D audio. So do you believe me now regarding the levels of vitriol that surround The Last of Us 2? But you think that's bleeding over into this, Eugene? Fuzzy with a $10 tip through Super Chat. I'm very jealous of my wife. She played The Last of Us 2, but not Part 1 yet. This is going to be her first time through. This remake is made for first-time folks like her. So yeah, $70 for a first time through. I'll gladly pay for that. I'll gladly pay for it because I haven't played the game in almost 10 years. So to summarize your position, better things, bells, whistles, dings, 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 and dongs. That's right. That's right. That's right, Brutal. That's right. You think The Last of Us 2 hate definitely bleeds over. You guys are agreeing with him. It's easily bleeded over to this game, especially because they got rid of the original multiplayer. They should have a multiplayer. Chuck E. Cheese, they're building what looks like going to be like a Battle Royale multiplayer thing that's coming later, and I think they say that was going to be free. None of that's worth $70 for a remaster. My favorite thing about this sentence, I want to get this framed on a wall, David. Do you want to know why? You insist on being dishonest. And that's admission of a weak position. You're admitting your position's weak when you have to keep being dishonest. None of that's worth $70 for a remaster. Instead of just having the intellectual honesty to say, I'm not impressed enough to spend $70, you have to make it like a dishonest, almost like propagandistic campaign against it. You just keep saying things that are false. Like, that's what I love about these discussions, is the people that have the weakest arguments, they always do the same thing. It's always the same thing. You're being dishonest? At what point have I been dishonest? I've shown the video, I've listed the things they're changing, and I've shown the comparison side by side. What am I doing that's dishonest? They've remade entire systems in the game. Ignoring the price aspect, how do we feel about the trend of remakes, remasters, rebuilds, devs double, triple dipping on older IPs? There's two things at play, Abe. The same thing happened in the same thing happened in the movie market. Nostalgia sells tickets, does it not? I think there's something else at play this time, though, Abe. I think a lot of developers are like, finally, we have systems we can do really, really good stuff with. You know? You're being dishonest. I ask you how. You say RE2 is a remake, this is a remaster. Okay. So what you've just done is called circular reasoning. You said it's a remaster, you're being dishonest. How am I being dishonest? And you simply restate that it's a remaster. You're supporting your premise with your premise. You're not just dishonest, you're bad at argumentation. That's a fallacious way to argue. It's just fallacious. It's a remake. How, Lono? Allow me to demonstrate. List all the things they changed. Show all the things they changed. Show empirical evidence of graphical differences, demonstrably proving this game is significantly changed. It's a remake. They've completely remade the models, the systems, the textures, the AI, everything. So, like, I can't help the fact that, like, you don't see the value, but what I can help is not allowing false statements and intellectually bankrupt arguments to get any traction in my chat. Calling it a remaster is funny? Yeah, it's just ignorant. It's just ignorant and dishonest to call this a remaster. Would a 007 GoldenEye remaster be worth $70? Well, here's the thing, Uncle Brada. That's actually a good question. I am not at all attempting to convince people that, like, every time there's a remaster, you should throw down $70. I'm looking at a game that they turned into a PlayStation 5 game, and that is why I believe it is worth $70. They didn't just make it prettier. They remade it, and they're like, hey, 10 years ago this game came out, and it, like, shocked the world with how good it was. Narrative-driven, amazing. Like, it's considered the apex of that generation. We're going to remake it into a PlayStation 5 game. And I'm like, let me get my wallet. There's a big difference between that and being like, yeah, we made a Nintendo 64 game and we remade it. Oh, okay. Is it still going to take me like an hour to beat it? You know, is it still going to be super short? Okay, well, that doesn't seem worth $70. They took an award-winning, generation-defining game, and they said, we're going to remake this entire game into a PlayStation 5 game. And I'm like, yeah, that's worth the price of admission. No doubt. No doubt it's worth the price of admission. Can't help but feel it's a cash grab. If they were to remake 1 and 2 into a $70 price point, that would make sense. These games had their runs. Reselling them at max price is questionable. Everything's a cash grab. Why do you keep dodging my question? I didn't see it. Answer, please. You guys honestly think I'm not engaging with disagreement and dissenting opinions? I've done it for an hour and 17 minutes. Try to see that chat moves fast. And once I start ranting, your commentary gets pushed out of the chat. How can you say Last of Us 2 and this remake are comparable in price when it took 4 to 5 years to develop? You think it took that long to make this? The rumors started swirling about this in 2020, which means it was probably already in production at that point. We don't know the window of time. So the amount of time they did, that's what matters? Oh man, I love when people just hand me an easy T-ball point. There's a really great story. We don't know how true the story is, but a very famous artist was at lunch, and this woman asks him to draw her something, and so he quickly draws something on a napkin, and he wants to charge her a pretty significant amount of money for it. And she says, why? It took you 5 minutes to create that. And he says, it took me 20 years to get to the point that it would take me 5 minutes to create this. So the fact that, right? The fact that they might have worked on this for a shorter amount of time than building a brand new game, all new assets, all new stories, all new mocap. The fact that that would have taken longer and this would have taken shorter has no bearing on my opinion that it's worth 70. Like, if Van Gogh was alive today and he painted something in 10 minutes and it looked remarkable, would you be like, well, it only took him 10 minutes, so yeah, it's not worth very much? You wouldn't say that. Is it Picasso? I don't know who the famous story is about. Danzatastic coming in. Gifted members, Adam, Steve, Jen, MK Man Gaming, and Egris. Guys, make sure and thank Danzatastic. That's so generous and kind. If you just got a membership, we do members content at the end of every day and on Friday nights. So make sure you get in the Discord. I think a piece of the argument is, at this point, everyone who has a PS5 has already played The Last of Us, so it's not being remade for a new audience. The remaster had a lot of new PS owners to sell to. So David says, how's your poll going? Yeah, my prediction was wrong. Is that your only victory? It's so funny when people want to celebrate something like that. Lono, you were wrong. There's a bunch of people in chat that aren't willing to pay for this. Oh, okay. That's why I'm disappointed. I am. I'm disappointed in the people that took the poll. I'm disappointed in you. I personally think that you should have a different view of games and the work that goes into them. I do. I think the attitude's corrosive that a company can spend a couple of years remaking a 10-year-old game, pouring love and passion into it, rebuilding the entire thing into a PlayStation 5 game, and you're like, I'm not willing to pay $70 for it. I'll give you like a 40 spot, maybe. Well, I'm disappointed in that. I find that to be incredibly disappointing. Doom with a $5 tip in Super Chat. I think people are mad because Sony didn't use those resources on a new game. It doesn't bother me, though, because I'm not a Sony customer. Would you consider Destroy All Humans a remake or a remaster? I'm not familiar enough with those games to comment. I've never played The Last of Us, and I just got a PlayStation 5 2 days ago. I'll be purchasing this. I think the poll is too simplistic. We don't have an option to say why we wouldn't pay $70. It's remakes for me. Did you see my comment, says Smashville? No. I'm going to chill out for this Sony game for a second, says Distorted. I think people are forgetting this part of the value. The original base game still costs money and has value underneath any remake, so you aren't starting at zero value. Then, all the new work they put into the game for this remaster, and also meeting other new-gen AAA game prices to show how perceived value is well. So, although I don't personally like the $70 price points, even if it's a remake, it can still be sold at $70 just like other games. The value transmission is there. This remake is asking full price, and it's not even completely rebuilt like Ratchet and Clank was. But just because you can find pieces that have not been completely rebuilt doesn't mean it's not a complete rebuild, right? Like, I was trying to explain the difference last night, between remaster and remake to my family, because I was getting ready to, gear up for this discussion, and I was like, here's the difference between a remaster and a remake. If someone were to remake my bedroom, and they strip the whole room down to the studs, and I find out that they left those studs in place, I couldn't be like, bro, you didn't actually remake my bedroom. They'd be like, yeah, we did. We rewired it. You've got all new technology in here. You've got motion sensor lights. You've got Ethernet in the wall. You've got Wi-Fi. You've got this. You've got that. And they point to all these other things. And I'm like, yeah. But it's still the same 2x4s in the wall. I know because I marked them with a piece of chalk. You didn't actually remake my room. They'd be like, what the frick are you talking about? Yes, we did. So we had to replace the studs or it doesn't count? What? So if you can find a single piece of the game that hasn't been remade, it's not a remake? Come on. Dan with a $5 tip through Super Chat. The creative vision, plot, and mechanics have already been made. I can't see paying full price for a layup for the devs. A layup. 2, maybe 3 years of remaking an entire game, and it's a layup. I love that. Years of work. Resident Evil 2 was a complete remake, not this. Okay, so you're making a false equivalency and a presumption, David. You're presuming that because you can take a game and completely change the form factor and what it looks like, that means it's a better remake. So, like, let me give you an example. If they took Diablo 1 and they remade it into like an over-the-shoulder third-person action-adventure dungeon crawler, you'd be like, well, that's more of a remake. Well, just because the chasm of difference is greater doesn't mean it's more of a remake, right? Because the difference between Resident Evil 2 and the Resident Evil 2 remake, the chasm of difference is greater because of all the things they had to fundamentally change. But you can't be like, well, that's more of a remake than this. You're measuring something that you can't really measure because the goal, they didn't have to move as far with The Last of Us because the core elements of the game were still so good and sound. It's got a timelessness to it. That doesn't mean it's less of a remake because the fundamental core of the game is so timeless that tomorrow, if I was to boot up this game and play it, you'd be like, my gosh. Like, let's say you woke up out of a coma and you had no idea what this game was, and you tuned into a stream of The Last of Us Part 1 Remake. You'd be like, what game is this? Did this just come out? Because why? Because the core elements are timeless. It would fit right in to 2022. Resident Evil 2 also came out in 1998. Right, that's what I'm saying. The chasm of difference is so much bigger. If they completely remade GoldenEye and they made it look like what's one of the most famous shooters that's come out recently that's done really, really well? I mean, we've got Call of Duty, but like I'm trying to think of one with like amazing graphics and faces and stuff. I can't think of Battlefield 2042 yet. Wait, no, that's not it. That was good. That was good, Paul. If they took GoldenEye and completely remade it with all of the modern amenities and cool things, you'd be like, oh my gosh, look at this, such a better remake. Well, it's a much older game. So the chasm of difference is going to be broader. Yes, of course. This game's 9 years old. It has whispers of what we do now and how they build games now. This game inspired so many other games. There are games right now. The Division 2, the day before, all these post-apocalyptic over-the-shoulder games. Man, there's something there that seems familiar. Yeah, it's The Last of Us. GoldenEye Remake would have been started from scratch. That's not what Last of Us is, bruh. So, but again, you're making up your own conditions. Like, that's like special pleading. That's just more fallacious argumentation. You're acting as if because they used the core parts of the game, it's not a remake. You are not making a logically formed, sound, intellectually credible argument. You're just picking different things and saying, oh, well, they'd have to start from scratch, therefore that's a remake. That's not what defines a remake. Last of Us didn't inspire anything. It's a survival light game. Yeah. There it is, guys. There's the final penny. The Last of Us didn't inspire anything. Hilariously just wrong. Man, how are you wrong about so many things, and yet you're watching my content? There's a part of you that's smart. There's a part of you that's smart. You're here, but you honestly think The Last of Us didn't inspire anything? Really? The apex of the PlayStation 3, award-winning, like, world-renowned game. Yeah, it didn't inspire anything. It's kind of a small title. Yeah. Garrett Green with a $5 tip. I stand by what I said. It's an unnecessary remake, not worth 70. But I enjoyed the scolding you gave me. No hard feelings. Listen, Garrett, guys like you got a chin. Because I take shots. I take swings. Right? Most of the time, I don't think they're cheap shots. I think I hit above the belt. I do. I do my best to not hit below the belt. And you got a chin if you're going to tip me $5 and hang out. I got respect for that. I don't have respect for people saying dishonest things about that this is not a remake. I don't have respect for that. But I have respect for somebody having a chin. Bro, if they replace those assets, they wouldn't have such low-res textures. It's a telltale sign those assets are reused. There's no need to use low-res textures in 9th gen. So I've been trying to explain to my daughter what the word pedantic means. Because she's 8, and she's pedantic. She's a lot like me. She likes to argue, and she likes to discuss, and she gets really, really pedantic. I'm like, don't throw that. And she'll, like, roll it across the room. I'm like, I said not to throw that. She's like, you didn't say not to roll it. You're being pedantic. Don't do that. All right. Combing through a 10-minute, 11-minute long remake and being like, they're reusing old textures. Like, what are you combing over every frame? You're just being pedantic. You're looking for something to be like, this isn't a remake. And Eugene's saying, stop watching the leaked footage. That's exactly right. Are you pulling? Are there actual frames? Impetus is on you. Burden of proof is on you, CR3D. Or am I supposed to call you Cred? I think I'm supposed to call you Cred. The burden of proof is on you. If you're going to sit here and tell me they're reusing old assets and old textures, okay, I need timestamps. Where in their 11-minute long video is that? Can I put that on display? Where? Where? The burden of proof is on you. You're making a claim. Substantiate the claim with evidence. You can't do that. If you're arguing remade, it has to be all remade assets, all or nothing. Shut up. Shut up. You know that's dumb. You're saying something dumb and you know it's dumb. You literally couldn't help but laugh at the end. So if they do a remake, every asset has to be remade. According to who? What are you, the arbiter of the term remake? Like, you typed that, and as the sentence ended, you knew how dumb it was, and you couldn't help but type LOL. If you're arguing remake, it has to all be remade assets. Like I said, down to the studs, chat. Down to the studs. Do you see how ludicrous? Do you see? As you peel back the onion on the argumentation, we're talking about somebody being like, you didn't change the studs out. Just flimsy. Flimsy positions. Flimsy. I got an invite to buy a PS5 from PlayStation Store finally. I'll get one with cheap price, thank God. Glad you can get one. Remake to make again. This is not a remake. So that's called the fallacy of appealing to a definition. That's called the fallacy of appealing to a definition. So another fallacious argument. Thank you. We've had dishonest statements. We've had fallacious arguments. We've had circular reasoning. Now we have appealing to a definition. Woo! We're going for a world record today, chat. How many argumentative fallacies can we get in one stream? James Wolfgang with a $10 tip. Straight up, everyone dropping 70 if Sony comes out and says Bloodborne remaster with 60 FPS version for PS5, even if nothing else about the game changes. James, thank you for the $10. Let me be real. Don't tell him this. Don't tell Sony I said this. We would pay $100. We would pay $100 for that. No doubt. Anyway, back to the show. Don't tell them that we said that. There's literally new textures, assets, and architecture. That's what I mean. Like, where in the trailer are you finding this? Old assets, old textures. I know what is happening. We got so many games that came out calling remake or remaster that done nothing but add some dirt to the screen. I think that's why people say that. If a single texture remains, it's not a remake is comical. Right, human type person? You know what I'm saying? This is definitely a good, faithful remake, but surely not blanking worth the price tag. There's a lot of definitive remakes that cost a maximum of $50, like the Mafia series, for example. And you think what they did to the Mafia series is what they did to this game? Do you think it's equal? Did you, like... I'm being dead serious with you. You at least formulated your argument in a sensible way. That's like one of the most sensible things I've read this morning. But seriously, watch this 11-minute long video and try to tell me that that's what they did to Mafia. Same mocap, same voice acting, same gameplay. It's a graphics remaster, end of story. Yeah, and see, you get to join the Hall of Fame of liars today. That's not true. You're just lying. It's not a graphics remaster. That is 100% false. It's demonstrably false. Do you know what that means? Demonstrably false means I can demonstrate how false that is. And what you're doing is sleight of hand. You're saying, well, it's the same motion capture and voice acting and same gameplay. Ooh, he snuck that one in, chat. It's not same gameplay. They outlined all of the gameplay mechanics that have completely updated and overhauled. Entire systems have been added to this game. Okay? So, that's sleight of hand. And then you use sleight of hand to jump to a conclusion. It's a graphics remaster, end of story. Your argumentation is just horrible. We literally read a full list of what they've added to the game. It's not just a graphics remaster. It isn't. Like, it's liberating to not be a liar. It is. It's liberating to not be a liar. It's easier to just say, I don't think it's worth it. I don't like spending $70 on remakes. That's so much easier to say instead of saying things that aren't true. It's just liberating to not be a liar. After reviewing as a texture artist, literally my profession, none of those textures are more than 8th gen cap, which usually is no more than 2K. Looks to me a carryover of the remasters textures. Okay. That doesn't substantiate any claims that have been made today about the game. And if you can give me side-by-sides, then you could substantiate your claim. It looks to me like a carryover of the remasters textures. Okay, well, give me a screenshot. Show me evidence that the textures are the same from the remaster. Can you do that? 5 gifted members from my man Akuda Papa, Young Nazi, Muda, Kill. Oh no, hang on. Adam, Japanther, and MacMan Gaming. You guys, you 5 got gifted memberships. Be sure to thank Akuda Papa. Very generous. Thank you, Akuda Papa. We are trying to get to 1,500 members, so my wife has to go back and play Elden Ring. Every Friday night, my wife and I play games together. She'll be joining me a little bit late tonight. Tier 2 members, don't forget to vote in the Discord. Don't forget to upgrade to Tier 2 so you can vote in the Discord. We are sitting at 1142 right now. We're almost at 1,200 members. Can we see the pics again? Is the one on the left says captured on PS3. So these side by sides. Oh, these are PS4 to do you understand what you're saying, Cred? Do you understand what you're saying? You're saying, oh, it looks to me like textures from the last game. I want you to look at the things in the background. That's a completely different couch and carpet. That's a different wall. That's different mechanical things on the wall. It's not. What are you talking about? It's the stuff in the background's not even the same. So how could they be using the same textures? What you're saying doesn't even make any sense. So they rebuilt the couch and changed the color and then used the same textures? The one on the left looks leathery and the one on the right looks like cloth. 20 gifted members from Lord Bacon Taco. He says, let's get to 1,200. Let's get there. Josh McGill, Kate Kitching, Joseph Frias, Smitty Smith, Lacus Official, George Perez, no, I said the wrong name. RJ Regner, a riff. Ice Cold Cabbage, please enter a name. Horizon, Near, Scarlet, Javier, Peña, and then there's 5 more after Peña. Dr. Ginade, Alexandros, David, Flaming Pringle, and Malboja. You guys have all been gifted memberships. Make sure and say thank you to our Lord and Savior, Bacon Taco. Her eyes look better on the right. I got a real good one for you. I love that you're like, I'm a texture artist. That's literally what I do. Really? Okay. Let's check something here. 2 spot from the Rift. They even showed the mocap. Why these dudes lying? Yeah, didn't they show new mocap? I thought they showed new mocap in the video. And then a $2 from Lord Bacon Taco. Take these and smile. Jeez, my man. Thank you, Lord Bacon Taco. Guys, I don't want you to think that when I'm getting wound up and angry and all of that I'm not having a good time. I don't want you to think that I'm not having a good time, because I am. Okay. So here we have an open world environment, and so you can see bricks, you can see cement, you can see different things. And if we scroll over, I'm trying to find something that we can look at exactly. It's hard. I don't think these are the same. Are these supposed to be the same buildings? It's completely different. I don't see how anybody could say these are the same textures from the remaster. What the frick? Look at the detail in the bricks and in the mortar. There's shading in the bricks. There's shadows in there. And then I come back over here and it's like flat. I just don't get it. This is hard too because it's far away and you guys are looking at a stream of a capture. So like, I'm looking at the speed limit sign, and I'm really seeing like how can you say that's a texture from the remaster? There's paint texture, dirt texture. There's a distressedness to the paint. That's a shot from the PS3. Is it? Oh, is this one on the left a shot from the PS3? See, that's the thing we're getting into is like, I don't want to be cheap. I don't want to cheat and compare it to PS3. I mean, if you genuinely think there's stuff from the remaster that got brought over, I want to see proof. I want to see proof because I'm not able to find proof of what you're saying. Like, can we look at... I don't think so, bro. Even the little things like the snow and the dirt on the ground. Here's a remastered comparison. 5 gifted memberships from MickDO9. We are having a members gifted train right now. Dillian, Messer, Theirlaw84, Dez, Pasty Gorilla, and Vernanders Black all got gifted members. Get on in here. If you just got a gifted membership from MickDO9, make sure and say thank you to him. And also get in the Discord. YouTube does not do a good job of putting members-only content in front of you. We're at 1167. We need 33 more members for 1,200. YouTube does not do a good job of putting members-only content in front of you. You need to be in the Discord. So, I'm looking at this... And the only thing I could see that would maybe support your argument, okay? Maybe this would support your argument, is I'm looking at like this cement block underneath here, and I'm thinking, okay, that looks similar to this cement block here, but it's a cement block. So I don't know if that's like, how much more can they do to a cement block? Also, it's in different lighting, so I can't see it as clearly. As soon as we get up here, there's no lighting on it. This one's closer and there's more lighting on it. I need to see that one closer, because they've also put snow on the workbench right here, and there's no snow on this one. So and it's got snow across the top. So it's different. It's in different lighting, like it's in the shadows. So I can't see it as clearly. That's the only thing I'm seeing in this image that might give credence to what you're saying. As soon as I look at the wood here across the windows, as soon as I look at the wood behind, look at the wood behind the bench. And look at the wood across the windows. There's more detail. There's light coming through the wood on the windows. There's cracks. There's particles in the air. Well, he's talking about textures. I'm telling you, what you're saying, I don't see evidence of it. Yo, Texas coming in and says with a $5 tip, if Microsoft charges $60 to $80 for a Gears remake, well, there's a remaster out. Best believe we will riot. Hope your light roast is better than your take. Wink. Thank you, Texas, for the 5 spot. Another person with a jaw who can take some of my pushback. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee 20 minutes ago. Jeffrey, thank you so much for ordering. I can't tell if this is supposed to be his username. What the frick? This looks different than before. A bag of light roast. Thank you so much. And then Dondre Parker with a 2-month milestone. We live in a world of remasters and remakes. If you remake something, you're not going to have assets precisely in the exact place. According to you, you're not the arbiter of remakes. No one's going to take the time to match it that close. But why? Why? This is a room that you start in, is it not? You have like a cutscene in this room. So how do we know that this isn't just something that they went in and said, it's going to be easier to use these anchor points for the cutscene, just leave those things in place and then make them look nicer? Also, yeah, like, again, it is different. Look, this piece of wood right here goes up, and then up here, it's completely blocked. Over here, this piece of wood goes up, and you can see out. There's like a gap. So it is different. You're literally claiming, like, again, as I said a little bit ago, you're being pedantic. You're combing over every square inch of the image, and you're like, oh, see? Workbench is in the same spot. It's not a remake. What? What? Why? Why does that make it not a remake? Because I'm not seeing it, Lono. It looks like the same textures to me. You need to get this image on a monitor and look at it, Abe. Like, there's light coming through. There's cracks in the wood. Like, that's a different thing. It's built different. You see over here how, like, the scratches in the middle, like, look. They reused the same texture on each piece of wood here. There's a dark dot here, and there's a dark dot here. Big, heavy scratch with a scratch above it. Big, heavy scratch with a scratch above it. And then there's like a triangle scratch here, triangle scratch here. That's the exact same texture on each piece of wood. Right? And then you come down here, and there's literal light pieces coming through the wood. Now, it looks like they used the same light break pattern. Oh, no, they didn't, because there's a break in the wood right here. There's like a notch taken out, and that notch is absent here. And then there's like an overlap sharp piece here that goes all the way. The overlap sharp piece here doesn't go all the way. So they've added some randomization to the wood, and then these wood pieces are actually the same. Divot in the bottom, divot in the bottom, divot in the top, divot in the top. Light breaks through here. Oh, this is different down here, it looks like. Well, maybe. It could be the angle. It could be the angle. Shape of the wood is different. Texture is different. Look what you did. I need to start using an emoji. Oh, gosh. I told you we need a Lono Kappa. We need a Lono Kappa emote. Nuke. With a $5 tip, people are mad because the storyline is the same, which means they're paying for the same game even if the visual aesthetics is different. Just ask. Nuke, I appreciate the $5 tip. I do think you're right. I do think there are some people that are feeling that way. They're like, why would I pay $70 for a game I've already played? side by side. Oh, that's the same place? Okay, hang on. A $5 tip from TJ Rage. In regards to modern remakes, we have been spoiled by Final Fantasy and Demon Souls. Yeah, okay. If people think that Demon Souls and Final Fantasy are the only true remakes, then I just think you're setting the bar too high. We've gotten a ton of new subscribers today. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for the member train. The member train is still going because the members are still at the top of the chat. If those start to drop off, keep that member train going. Get us to 1,200 members today. Show him the board is behind on the PS4, and in the PS5, it's in front. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, these assets have been changed and moved, homie. Right here, these boards are stuck to that board. Over here, they're behind. Can't read the articles on pieces of newspaper lying around in full 8K means it's absolutely crap and not a remake, says Spriggan. I wish I could gift members to individual people. I would gift a member to Spriggan for that comment. I would. What's Creature saying? I agree. Yes, yeah. We need somebody in the Discord anyway, Creature, for like late night stuff. That's not setting the bar too high, though. That should be the industry standard when using the word remake. No. No. Disagree. You can't substantiate that. That's just your opinion. I don't agree. I think expecting that level of remake is unfair. And do you want to know why? The chasm of distance is too great. The chasm of distance is just too great. Final Fantasy VII to now, it's a completely different game. The launch windows, they're so far apart. Same thing with Demon Souls. You're not thinking through what you're saying. Yo, Foggy, renewing that membership. Thank you so much. Yo, a $5 tip from AOZ. Way to hang in there. A lot of hypocritical competing platform people that are really only angry because their platform maker hasn't released in 2022. I don't want to act like that's what's motivated a lot of this, but I do think it's what's motivated some of it. Thank you for the $5 tip. It's been less than 10 years since the remaster of this game. Okay. 2-month milestone from Sea Salt. I love that avatar. Thanks to people who have been gifting members. I've been lurking since the Destiny 2 days. I hope Madam has to play Elden Ring this month. Yo, thanks for jumping back in on your own, Sea Salt. That's really dope, man. Thank you. That's why people feel it's unnecessary when it's only 9 years old. What's the difference between a remake and a remaster? So a remaster is when they go through and they make the textures a little bit nicer, resolution a little bit nicer, but you're playing the same game. Like, nothing has really changed. It just looks a little bit prettier. Like, in this game, they've completely rebuilt the character models, the clothing. There's brand new AI. They brought over the AI from The Last of Us 2. They completely rebuilt all those things to give this game a fundamentally brand new experience. Like, it's not, they didn't just give them new textures, right? This is the best image to show you. It's not just new textures. They literally remade the character models. It's new. I truly cannot believe that this is the focal point of the discussion. I can't. This is too difficult. I could circle the areas and explain what is going on in each area, but I can't. But whatever. Keep believing what you want. 50% of those assets are reused. I'm going to pay $70, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm never going to notice any of that because I'm not being pedantic and searching for minor flaws. If that's how you want to experience gaming and that's how you want to be a consumer of games, fine. Fine. That's your choice. I think it is. I think you're straining at a gnat. I do. I think you're straining at a gnat. Killshot with a $5 tip. I don't understand the argument from players who won't play or have played this game and are mad about a remake costing $70. It looks like a completely different person instead of a higher fidelity render of the original character. Okay. We'll do this one. It's still minor visual differences at best. I don't know, man. I feel like... I genuinely feel there are people that cannot... They simply cannot see... It's like you can't see reality. You can't see reality. I don't know. It's like people that saw the Horizon Forbidden West 4K trailers and said... It doesn't look that much better than the first. I went and did side-by-side comparisons, and people are like, yeah, I just don't see it. I can't help you. I can't. I don't know. It looks like an anime in the original image. Remake looks more realistic. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I really don't. I don't get it. I truly don't get people being like, it doesn't look that much better. I don't. I can see her like individual freckles and eyebrow hairs. I can see like her eyes are so much more realistic. Everything about this image, I don't see, oh, it's minor. I don't see it. I just don't get it, man. I don't know. I feel like we've gone through this with so many games recently, and I'm just so confused. What about gameplay, though? Is it any different? Yeah. Yes, they completely rebuilt the gameplay. They brought over the AI from the first game. Look, the thing that we watched, like, watch this 11-minute video. They walk through all the systems they completely rebuilt. Wolvie says, would you say that the Resident Evil 2 remake and the Resident Evil 1 remaster are better examples to best show the leaps and changes in comparison to having to repay for a game that you've already paid? This isn't a knock on The Last of Us. More so, there's a bigger gap between the Resident Evil games compared to the leap. No, Wolvie, I think that's a significant portion of the discussion. I said it earlier. The Last of Us has pieces to it. Flow of game, setup of fights, the narrative, the writing, the voice acting. It was before its time to a certain degree. It's timeless. So those things aren't going to feel improved upon because they were already award-winning. So you go back to like super old Resident Evil games or like Final Fantasy VII and you remake it, the chasm of difference is going to be absolutely enormous because there's a bigger time gap between them. Yes, that's 100% a part of this. I also think people are forgetting just how clunky and potentially bad you could say that the first one looks. If you go back and you really look at the graphical fidelity and the combat and the play of the first Last of Us and you look at this footage, they look like completely different games. Like, look at this sequence. Look at the reflections on the ground. Look at the detail in the asphalt. Like, it looks like a completely different game than the game you can go play right now. I'm even kind of in the way. It's remarkable to me that anybody can look at this and be like, it's just a remaster. What are you talking about? That looks like a real street. That looks like real asphalt and water. It doesn't look like this in the first game at all. Understood. I guess people expect those giant leaps, whereas the first Last of Us wasn't that long ago. Yeah, no, exactly. They expect bigger leaps, but it's like, what on earth are you actually going to be able to do? Look at that. Look at how the explosion affected the surrounding lighting. Jiminy Christmas. It's in the water. It's affecting So why remake it? It doesn't look like a completely different game. You're full of assertions and fallacious argumentation. That's just an assertion. That's not an argument. You're just asserting things. You're not arguing anything. Many of us have played it already. I think the issue is it's too soon to grab the nostalgia gap. Retro gaming, majority of folks buying this will be new players, not chat today. Lono, pull up on your PS5, The Last of Us PS4 remastered version. You'll understand why people are saying. No, I won't. I've seen the remastered comparisons. I don't get why people are saying this. I don't. Don't act like I'm being ignorant or like I've not looked at enough. Don't even insinuate that. No. We've looked at the comparisons 17 times today. Pull up a shot of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 2 Remake. I played Resident Evil 2 Remake. Again, your whataboutism and your false equivalencies don't matter. I've made several points. I'm just using industry terms that go over your heads. No, you're doing fallacy of the expert. Instead of substantiating your point with proof, you're doing fallacy of the expert. Cred. Your argumentation today, I have been not impressed or compelled at all. Do you know how many times I've been sitting here arguing a point and I have somebody tell me, I get the, trust me, bruh, I'm a dev. Okay. Substantiate your claim. Get some screenshots, draw some arrows, and throw it in my Discord. I don't care what games you've worked on. I don't care how many degrees you have. That doesn't make you right. That's called fallacy of the expert or fallacy of the professional. We're not, like, your expertise or your professional experience has no bearing on the discussion. So if the developers could implement the AI from The Last of Us 2, why did the prone dodge mechanic not make it actually curious? More than likely, Sandy, because they said they wanted it to be better but not different. And being able to dodge and go prone would completely change some of the fights and some of the interactions. Because the way the rooms are set up, you might be able to completely negate, like, the enemy's visibility. You just lay on the ground and, like, sneak through and, like, shoot different things. Like, that would fundamentally change the flow of combat to suddenly give you two completely foreign movements. They said it's not different, it's better. And I agree with that decision. That would fundamentally change combat. I respect your opinion, but you need to understand that the difference between the remastered and the remake are minuscule. That's what people are upset about. They're not minuscule. That's false. No, that's not subjective opinion. That is a false statement. The differences between the remaster and this are not minuscule. That's a lie. That's not a subjective opinion based on screenshots. That's not true. I did several times, you just don't listen. I pointed out that the planks are the same model with updated shaders. Do you know what PBR means? It stands for physical-based rendering. Okay, you did not substantiate your claim by pointing out that the planks are the same model. You didn't. And I pointed out that the planks were actually a different model because when we looked at that image, again, you're just lying. You're saying things that aren't true. You're just a liar. I'm sorry, you're a liar. This is not the same model. These planks are completely 100% straight-edged across. 100% straight-edged across using identical textures. Over here, these planks have chunks and cuts taken out of them. You are a liar. You are saying things that are not true. These are not the same models. That is a lie. You're saying things that aren't true in my chat over and over again, and then when I call you on it, you just jump to something else. We've completely invalidated what you said about this room. These are not the same model pieces of wood. Straight across, cut nice and straight right from the wood shop, and then these are all busted and changed and have chunks taken out of them. You're lying. Your expertise is suspect because you're saying things that aren't true. Like, that image on the left is so blurry. Do we have a higher res image? So you can't see that these two pieces of wood behind the workbench. It's too hard for you to see that that's a straight line straight across, not a single chunk taken out of it. You can't see that? You can't tell that that's a straight line. If it's too blurry, why did you just say moments ago that they're the same model? Look at the pieces of wood. They're not the same model as they previously used. It's an updated model. It has chunks taken out of it and cuts and light coming through it. Or not light. I think that's actually snow. Like snow has blown through the crack. Now the image is too blurry. A second ago, we didn't understand. And I don't know what PBR is. They're the same models. No, they're not. How many times are you going to completely get your point invalidated before you see that you're wrong? I'll give you that it's an updated model. Well, one updated model that's being reused. Oh, the horror of taking a piece of wood and reusing the asset in a scene. That's never been done in virtually every video game in existence, even your precious remakes that you guys have been trotting out today. Jiminy frickin' Christmas. Wow, it's so shocking. Last man standing. Last man standing. Cred. Continuing to say things that aren't true. To substantiate a narrative that it's not a true remake. It's remarkable. It's remarkable that after 2 hours, not a single shred of credibility to your argumentation. There's nothing left. Nothing. You're the last man standing, and you just fell to the canvas. Battle Royale. I'm in the ring. Nobody's left standing up. The planks were redone and the campfire. Everything else appears to be reused. But again, just how different are you going to make a cube cement block? Like I don't understand. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? You just keep moving the goalposts. You just keep throwing out different points. Every time I've taken a claim and we've combed over footage, we've combed over the facts, we've listed all the things they've changed, we've looked at the things they've updated, you just have to keep retreating to something else. Both pieces of wood are in fact from the same digital tree. Yeah, we've been looking at adding Quiet Shy for a while. We need somebody in the Discord late at night when I'm asleep. You know. Here, hang on. Yep. Yeah. It's all new. I'm looking at the wall. Like the wall behind. See how that almost looks like that's wallpaper. It looks like some kind of wallpaper back there. And then in the new version, it's wood planks with different some kind of a white plaster texture or something on it. So that's been redone too. And then I'm trying to look at the table. YOLOs. Okay. You said the workbench was the exact same workbench. No. Upon further inspection, no, it's a new model. YOLOs. The pieces are different. This piece here, there is a handle and then the bar. Over here, it's completely different. The bar is bigger and the piece that attaches it to the actual table is different. Up here, there's a circular cap of some sort on the edge. Cap completely absent over here. This is a rebuilt asset. It's different. The shading and the color underneath here shows that the lip comes out quite a bit more than over here. Over here, the lip comes down and almost runs right into the bottom section. Over here, oh, I'm in the way. Frick. Over here, the lip edge comes out and cuts back in. YOLOs. A 2-month milestone from Cujo. I find your channel very informative. Thank you. Welcome back. So, you are an expert. You work in textures. That's your job. And you are apparently using terms that we can't understand. And I just combed over the image and invalidated all of your claims about the image. It's not the exact same workbench. It's not the exact same models for the wood on the walls. Even when you're being pedantic and looking for flaws, you are failing. I am Melee with an 8-month milestone, a 2-month milestone from Rivs. 4-pick example, couch behind Ellie is old leather, new couch fabric, totally different. Yeah. Look at the edges of the Geo, not inside the edges. You can fake a lot with normal maps and the right lighting. Oh, he's trying to get up. He is. The ref's counting. He's trying. He's trying to get that shoulder up. No. Your claims have been falsified, my friend. You looked at this image. I've continued to be told that the differences between the remaster and the remake are minuscule. And you looked at this image and you claimed a number of things. The planks are the same model. False. The workbench is the same model. False. The wood behind the workbench is the same model. False. Everything you said about this image is false. You looked at the model in vastly different lighting and assumed it was different? No, I pointed pieces of it that have been completely remade and restructured. It's not the same. It's not a copy-paste of the same asset. They've rebuilt it. I think I pointed at 4 different things on the workbench that are completely different in shape and size. It's been rebuilt. Everything you said about this image has been falsified. So, your expertise is suspect. You said things about this image that when we actually closely inspected it are false. It's not true. It looks better but not worth 70. It's a remaster of a remaster. You were almost there, David. You almost said something that was worth reading. It looks better but not worth 70. That's fine. That's your opinion. It's a remaster of a remaster, bruh. Oh, here comes the intellectual dishonesty and falsehood. You were this close to having a sentence worth reading. This close. So close to not being completely invalid in your view. Can we talk about the gameplay perspective? Because that's the disappointing part. What are you disappointed in the gameplay? What about the gameplay updates do you not like? Look at the live GIF. The live GIF. You lose. Or hang on. Just get that room on a loop. Can I go to Giphy Cat and will it just show me? Hang on. HD. Let's just let that roll just a couple times. Y'all can stop now. I'm sold. I'm buying this game. My man Nuke. Or Nook. That's probably Nook, not Nuke. Nook, like book. Thank you for the $2 tip. The gameplay, when did you play it? Wait, why did it go to something else? That's not what I wanted. Okay, listen. I love a good debate. Let's keep it going. I will be back in like 2 minutes. I'm going to hit some ads. Do me a favor. Smash like, smash subscribe. We enjoy debates here. You can't come in and insult me, but you can disagree with me all day long. We only banned 2 people because they were insulting me and not disagreeing with me. Everybody disagreeing with me is still here. We welcome that. We love that. We think it makes for good television. If you debated with me, discussed things with me, and you took all those chin shots and me coming pretty strong at you, well, I got mad respect for you, even though I think some of your positions are a little crazy. I'm going to hit some ads. We only run ads when I step away. We're super close to 1,200 members, so consider jumping in as a member. We end every day with members-only content, and we do a member stream tonight. Tonight's a member stream, okay? So make sure and get in the Discord so you don't miss it. I'll be right back. I'm going to let this loop because I think it's wonderful. Okay. Why is Lono switching back and forth in the exact same image? I don't get it. Yeah, they had a speedrun road. Somebody else ordered some Reforge roast. Light roast to Xanatos. Thank you, Xanatos. I had a guy calling me out on Twitter. He said it was petty to make fun of somebody for misspelling shilling. I was like, tell me you have zero self-awareness without telling me you have zero self-awareness. So someone can come in and accuse me of shilling, and when I tease them about misspelling shilling, I'm the petty one. Okay. The guy came in and called you a douchebag, and you made fun of him for misspelling douche, and I thought that was really immature. Oh, I understand. Yeah, I'm just a punching bag. You can take swipes at me and my character. That's fine. You gotta take the high road. We expect more from you. I thought it was pretty lighthearted to tease a guy about his spelling mistake. That dude admitted that he was wrong. I thought they were calling it a remake. I'll admit at first I thought the wooden planks were reused with updated shaders, but upon looking at it again, the silhouette's too different, so I did backtrack there. I'm not going to change anyone's mind. I was only, right? You're being a grammar. I have fat fingers and type the wrong stuff all the time. It's a low blow. No, it's not a low blow. If someone accuses me of shilling, they are taking a swipe at my character and my integrity. Me teasing them about a spelling mistake is not a low blow. They're literally kicking me in the nuts, and I'm shoving them back, and you're acting like I'm the one in the wrong. Wake up. Like, seriously, wake up. If you come in and take a swipe at my character and integrity, and I tease you about a spelling mistake, I am 100% taking the high road. Gee, money Christmas. I'm not a punching bag. I'm not here for your verbal abuse. If you want to come in and take swipes at my character and integrity, and you get bopped on the mouth, yeah, well, don't start none, won't be none, to quote Will Smith from Men in Black. Get hit. Like, that's how it goes. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to come in and take a swipe at me and I swipe back, that's the way the world works. Like, welcome to the real world. Like, I know you probably go on, like, not you, but people do this. They go onto like Reddit and Twitter and they like run their mouth and pop off. And when they get like blocked, banned, or clapped back on, they want to like surprise Pikachu face. Oh, I thought I was just allowed to like hurl insults and like question the integrity and the honesty of a person. And then if they say anything back, like, oh my goodness, I'm going to clutch my pearls. And that's just so offensive. Grow the frick up. You're on the internet. Like, if you don't start none, won't be none. If you come in here and you take a swing at me, you might get swung back on. And if you don't like that, maybe don't go around taking swings at people. To be fair, I don't know you well enough to question your integrity, but then I also haven't seen any evidence to suggest that you have any. That's amazing. That's actually a well-crafted passive swipe. I actually like how well written that was. I do. Even though it makes you a douchebag. I mean, you know what I'm saying? At least you're an intelligent douchebag. Like, a dumb douchebag's far harder to deal with than an intelligent one. Discrimination versus fat fingers. I knew it. Yeah, come on. As a man once said, keep my streamer's name out your mouth. Oh my gosh. I'm actually being pretty consistent. I think he's kidding around, Quiet Shy. I'm assuming that David is joking when he said discrimination versus fat fingers. I'm assuming it's a joke. He's trying to lighten the mood, I think, after saying like that it was a low blow. It wasn't a low blow. Come on. Chat was going a mile a minute. I had all these people disagreeing with me. A couple people were taking swipes, so I teased the guy about misspelling shilling. He spelled it shelling. Like, come on. It's not fat fingers. You were in such a hurry to clap back that you couldn't type well. Maybe. They couldn't really add prone like Last of Us 2 because the levels are a bit different. No grass. Yeah, they said in the thing, and like, listen, some of this just comes down to like artistic decision, right? They're like, we made it better, not different. Like, they didn't want it to be fundamentally a different game. They wanted it to be better, but being able to do that, I think that would be an issue. 800 poll votes, 337 likes. Yeah, can we get 400 likes? We can easily hit 400 likes. There's got to be like 70 people who haven't hit it yet. I'll add that to the list of things hated. Birds, trees, the Dutch, and the fat-fingered. Lono and I have butted heads, but it's mostly my fault. Still come back. I just come off as a beehole. I mean, part of the show is I'm going to get fired up. And if somebody can't take that, like if they're too fragile to deal with me getting fired up and bringing heat, then they're not going to ever be able to hang out here. You're not going to enjoy my content. That's part of my personality. That, like, I'm not rude and unkind. I'm passionate, I get loud, and I get wound up. And if someone takes a swing at me, sometimes I'll swing back, for sure. A couple of those guys, I just calmly said, you can't hang out here. If you're just gonna call me names. I didn't swing back on them. I just got rid of them. I was like, yeah, you can't be here anymore. That's the third time you've decided to take a swing at me and insult me. And I just ignored them up to that point and then banned them. Like, if they can't take it, they can't take the heat, then they're not going to be able to stay here. They're not going to like my content. Old Lono would have lopped off quite a few heads today, but I think it's been pretty enjoyable. Yeah, the 2 people I banned were literally asking for it. Multiple of their comments had to be approved because they were just using foul language and saying nasty things about me. It's like, you can't come in here and do that. Where do you think you are? My free speech. My free speech. Yeah. I think overall it's been a good spirited debate. Yeah, I think it's been fine. I tried to zero in on... Let me just try to explain to the people that are still here or the people that, like, witnessed all of it. Like, my gosh. I tried to zero in on things that I felt were false or misrepresentative or intellectually dishonest. I wasn't zeroing in on people being like, I'm not willing to spend $70. I think that argument is a lot harder to have because, like, you might look at it and say, I just recently played Remastered. That just doesn't seem worth it. I know what's going to happen. There's no intensity. There's no scariness. Like, I know everything that happens. I've played this game up one side and down the other. That seems too pricey. Okay. I am not on a campaign to convince you to buy the game at 70. I'm not. I expressed my disappointment in the poll because I think consumers have consistently done this. This isn't like the first time the consumer base has expressed their distaste for the $70 price point. So this isn't like happening in a vacuum. The same thing happened when you had to spend the extra $10 for extra features in Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. And I expressed my same concern at that point in time. That if the consumers aren't willing to pay for the increased stuff and the increased value, the developers might start to conclude it's not worth investing in. It costs too much money, and it just causes a bunch of complaint and anger, right? So I expressed my disappointment in the poll, but I would say 80 to 90% of my dialogue in our interchange was me literally smacking down statements that were completely and utterly false. I was not once... And don't project your value proposition on others. Speaking for others. Yeah, I wasn't ever trying to do that. People were, right? Don't confuse your subject value with objective value. Right. I was mainly seeing people stating things, and I'm like, that's not true. That's a false statement. How long do you think before it drops on PSN Plus? Hang on. I'm going to set it so that that bot can't do that more than once. It usually irritates him and he goes away. And then I'm going to make sure and report. Ghost of Tsushima movie is being directed by the John Wick 1 director. Should be a good action flick. Yeah, it should be good. Can she be trusted with so much power? I'm afraid. I think it'll be fine. We've been needing at least... I wanted one. And I know, listen, some of you guys, I had a couple people reach out about mod ship. And if you don't get selected, it's quite literally because I prefer some of you to be just chatting. I think you offer more as a chatter than a mod. That doesn't mean I think less of, like, Quiet Shy and how she chats. Some of you guys bring heat and fire, and I'm worried I would lose that if you guys suddenly became a mod. Does that make sense? So if you pursued or were interested in being a mod and you don't get picked, it might be because you have way more value as someone chatting. I'll just insult and be intellectually dishonest when I write my twit longer in a couple years. Thanks, Eugene. Please stop spamming chat. You only need to say it once. What's Robert spamming? Dodge and prone would only work if they remade levels, which they didn't, which is why people have a hard time calling this a remake, which it's essentially a facelift. Anti-mind your business champ. What? I'm making a point that's being ignored. Ban me then. You don't need to be snippy, but you hang on. Okay, so yeah, no. That argument's not very good. You're basically saying that there's a lot of presumptions being built into that. That's not a very good point. Let me try to display why. You're essentially saying that dodge and prone would have required them to completely remake not just the environments, but the layout and the flow of the environments, which also would have fundamentally required them to rebuild narrative thrust of how the enemies move, talk, and flank, which would have changed the flow of combat, which would have changed the game, right? So you're presuming that that would have made it a remake and that the absence of that doesn't make it a remake. That's not true. Numerous times today, other people were using other conditions about remake. You're creating your own standard of remake, which would make it a remake. According to you, you're not the arbiter of what a remake is. If they go to the environments and they remake all the assets and all the characters and all the environments, that's a remake. So when you go and play the Demon's Souls remake, do you have new abilities? No. Are the fights different? No. They're not. Then it's not a remake. Do you see how fallacious? That doesn't work. That's not presumption. It's what a remake is. No, your standard of remake breaks down even one of the best remakes in existence right now. Demon's Souls remake is not a remake according to your standard. Your standard's bad. You've just created out of thin air. That's the fallacy of special pleading. You're being like, oh, well, this very narrow definition of remake is what a remake is. This one doesn't add up to remake, therefore it's not a remake. That's a fallacious way to argue. They didn't create new combat mechanics and maneuverability and things for you to do in Demon's Souls, because why? It would have mean they would have had to change the fundamentals of the enemies and the fights and even the world that you move in, and they didn't do that. Therefore, it's not a remake. Do you see? Your standard of remake can't be used in the industry because you've just made it up. That's not remake. That's what actual remakes are. Yeah, I see. Now you're just restating your position. You're just thinking that that'll, like, what, I guess, exhaust me? Have you been here? I've been doing this for 2.5 hours. Demon's Souls isn't a remake. It's the same bugs in both games. There it is, chat. There it is. The plane has landed. Even Demon's Souls isn't a remake. Never go full, chat. Never go full. Come on, everybody stand up. We need a standing ovation. That's one of the dumbest things said today. Come on. And the award for the dumbest chat comment of the day, Demon's Souls isn't a remake. There it is, chat. Woo! Come on. Come up here. Let me give you your award. Demon's Souls is not a remake. We did it. We did it. We managed to turn the knob of dumb all the way up. All the way up. It's all the way. We're at level 11 of dumb. Demon's Souls is not a remake. How do the same bugs appear in a remade game? Yeah. I can't stand, but I'm clapping. We did it. It took us 2.5 hours. It took us 2.5 hours, and we did it. We fully landed the plane. We made it all the way to LaGuardia. Never go full. That's right, Hex. They intentionally didn't change it in Demon's Souls. He's almost got it. So close. It's Friday, and you arrived at FromSoft. It's good. Yeah, we did it. We did it. It's now From Friday. Answer then? I don't have to answer how. You have not created a qualifier of why that makes it not a remake. Taking the piss is not an answer? Because you're claiming that oh, it had the same bug here and here, therefore it's not a remake. Again, you're creating your own standard, and then you're like, well, explain it to me. Explain me how the bug carried over. I don't know. It could be an engine level thing. You do understand they probably use the same engine, maybe? Maybe they use some of the same algorithmic firings on enemies? I don't know. You understand that a remake doesn't mean they literally built the game from scratch. Major bug with a boss fight. Yeah, so the coding to that boss fight was not necessarily remade. You're literally substantiating the point that I was just making. You don't even see what's happening. You're actually substantiating the point that I just made to the other guy. Well, if they would have added dodge and prone, they would have had to completely remake all of the environments and all of the combat, and that would have made it a remake. But no! You just made up your own standard. They didn't do that in Demon's Souls, and it's still a remake. And you're like, well, the bug carried over from the first game. Yeah, because the code for the boss fight? Then it's not a remake, it's a copy. I can't. The depth of ignorance is too deep for me to dive down anymore. I don't have the ability. I've gone so down deep. You're now going down into the Marianas Trench of ignorance. I can't do it. It's too deep. The depth, the ignorance is so deep, I can't go down anymore. I can't go down anymore. You find one thing. This is just like the conversation earlier. The guy found one thing in an image, and he's like, therefore, it's not a remake. That has got to be one of the single worst ways to argue. So you have found one thing that carried over from the last Demon's Souls, and you're like, therefore, not a remake. It's just a pretty copy. Listen, if you tried to sound dumber, you wouldn't be able to type because it would be unintelligible. It'd be unintelligible. If you tried to sound dumber than what you just typed, you couldn't type a sentence because it'd be unintelligible. The only way to be dumber than that is just to type nonsense. Same story, same game, same bugs, just prettier. Golly frick. I don't envy people like you. It must just be miserable. Nothing can be good in the world. None of these games are good enough, I guess. I just don't get it. The Demon's Souls remake has been hailed as one of the best remakes out. We take gameplay pieces in... this is the Demon's Souls guy commenting from Bluepoint. We take gameplay pieces of the code base and we're able to basically plug those in and integrate those into our engine. Bluepoint CTO Peter Dalton said about the studio's innovative approach that allowed it to connect modern AAA engine with the original gameplay mechanics. So they brought the original gameplay mechanics into a brand new engine. But it's just a really pretty copy. They hit Control C and then they hit Control V. And it's just a copy, and they made it prettier. They brought the game over into a new engine. Yeah, I'm taking the piss because you literally just sound like a clown. You sound like a clown. You guys are just saying stuff. I swear, is my wife going to come in with the TV? I swear this is a fake conversation. This isn't real. There's no way that you're being serious. Just yesterday, Frost, you made one of the best points yesterday. You talked about how the challenges that this generation's facing were already known. We were talking about the chasm of difference between graphical fidelity and Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok not being that different than the graphical fidelity and the ceiling of what we're going to see in games in like 5 or 7 years. You made a phenomenal point to the point that Zubair quoted you. And now you're in here today saying that's got to be one of the most brain-dead takes of the day. That Demon's Souls Remake is a copy. It's just prettier. Like, it's not true. What's happening right now? Like, I'm dead serious. Am I being trolled? Is Ashton Kutcher going to walk in with a car? That's why I stood up and clapped and took the piss, because you literally said, I don't even understand how you could say that about the Demon's Souls Remake. because I have my own mind. I won't agree with everything you say. I'm not talking about opinions. You're saying something that's not true. Oh, we've gone so long. I got to schedule the next stream. Frick, it's the 30 noti's not even going to go out. It's fine. We're doing too many shows today anyway. The 30-minute noti doesn't matter. It's not true. Listen, I expect... You guys have to understand, some of this is showmanship. I'm not stressed out. I'm not stressed out. Blood pressure's fine. I appreciate your concern. Some of this is showmanship. I actually get energized by this stuff. It doesn't affect my blood pressure. This is fun for me. It's therapeutic. It feels good. It's not opinion. I don't expect people to agree with me. That literally, this is the show. This is the actual show. The show is largely people disagreeing with Lono. Monday through Friday. So don't expect. I don't want you to think that I expect that. You're saying things that just aren't true, though. I agree with Frost. It could fall both ways as a remake or the greatest remaster ever. All the same groundwork, coding, and AI to preserve the original feel, but give it a new coat of paint. It's not about having a difference of opinion. You just said something that is not true. Like, I'm trying to drive that home. It's not a new coat of paint. They literally put the game in a new engine. It's not. Oh my word. Oh my word. 10 major differences between the PS3 and PS5 version of Demon Souls. Like, I'm just gonna put this up on the board while I schedule my stream. I just want this up on the board. The Demon Souls remake is being described as just a fresh coat of paint. I'm just leaving this up while I schedule the next stream because I can't. I absolutely can't. Like, Lord, bear me strength. You're just saying stuff that's nonsense. It's nonsense. Fresh coat of paint behind me, chat. Not a remake. Not a remake. It's just a copy. Just a copy, chat. Can't do it. $5 tip from Mike on a mic, and this is why I follow you, sir. These takes and disagreements take me back to D1 and the D2 era. We've all said it's prettier, and you're just showing us prettier. Yeah, and I'm glad you typed that, because I want people to know just the depth of your take. That's the depth of his take. Is that these two images, one is just prettier. I'm so glad you said that again. I really, really am. That's the intellectual depth of your take, is that the differences between these images is that one is just prettier. Whew. You have a dizzying intellect. To quote Tony Stark, your math is blowing my mind right now. Like, that's representative of, that's the intellectual depth that we got today. Is that this is just prettier. Like, that's what we've spent the lion's share of the day dealing with. That's it. We found it. I'm gotta make sure this is monetized. Where are we in timing here? F it. What's the difference then? I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing that. I'm not hand-holding you. I'm not hand-holding you through this. I can't do it, man. We got to do this. They implemented a character creator. They added new weapons and armor. They upgraded the multiplayer. They increased the loading times. They added haptic feedback. They added a photo mode. Omnidirectional rolling. Combat update. Environmental interaction was updated and added. Carrying capacity was adjusted. Fractured mode is a new game mode. They added a new game mode. It's just prettier. It's just prettier. I literally just grabbed bullet points from that article. Like, I just saw, that's all I did. I literally just grabbed bullet points from that article. I can't do it. Like, 1950s Monopoly is the same as 2020 Monopoly. One looks better, same game. I'm telling you, you guys that have been arguing this today, you only deal in fallacies. That's a false equivalency. Like, just, it's fun. So, the rule sets of Monopoly don't change. The board just looks nicer. You think that's equivalent to what Bluepoint did with Demon Souls. Intellectually dishonest, absolutely bankrupt position. Look, just ludicrous thing to say. Yeah, Cred's back on my side. Don't forget they completely overhauled the dated animations, which is very time-consuming. Yeah. Cred and I butted heads. Cred's got his own opinions and ideas about Last of Us Remake, but you're going to sit here and tell me that the Demon Souls remake is just prettier and it's not really a remake. You've even got people that agree with you on The Last of Us that aren't agreeing with you. You've wandered into a bizarro world where you think the Demon Souls remake's not a real remake. There's just no way to substantiate the claim. There's just no way to substantiate the claim. It's ridiculous. We've got to move on. We cover so many things here, and this was so fun. We went the distance. We don't typically get close to 3 hours anymore because we usually run out of gas, and we did not run out of gas. So thank you to those of you that like to disagree with me and debate with me. You hung out. You stayed in the ring. You kept the hits above the belt. It was fun. It was a blast. But we've come to the conclusion of the discussion. We've come to the conclusion of the discussion. We had 41 new members and over $100 tipped through Super Chat. Let's see if we can match that in the next stream. Let me get everything set up for it. Because we are going to talk about how Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be more than just a live service game. We have really, really good information about their plans for Assassin's Creed Infinity. And you guys know me. I'm a big fan of live service. This is going to be bigger than a live service game. It's going to be something special, and let me get the tweets sent and everything so we can switch to this stream. I have time. Yeah, this has been fun. It's been fiery. If you've liked this and you thought it was fun and I didn't bother you, some people probably thought I was just like an arrogant jerk. And that's fine. That's fine. That's going to happen. I don't hold back. It's fun. But we hope to see you come back. Assassin's Creed Infinity. I can't spell. Yeah, we might not have to do Arkham. We'll see. The Gotham Knights, I mean, not Arkham. The Gotham Knights, we might not need it. We'll see how this next stream goes. We'll see if this debate and discussion can get turned into something. Chat brought the spice. I loved everything except for your bigotry of fat fingers. David, I'll tell you something. You danced on the line. You danced on the line today, David. You did. You did, but you got to stay because you've at least got a sense of humor, and you knew when to dial back. I felt like you sensed when you got a little too close to the line. Send that. Yeah, no. The naysayers won. No, yeah, they did. I thought you guys were gonna have my back. I probably shouldn't have provoked and been like, I'm gonna get proven right by the poll. I probably shouldn't have done that. People like to prove streamer wrong, so I was probably asking for it when I did that. I was asking for it. And I lost the poll. I did. But I feel like I did great the rest of the time. I feel like I had a pretty good batting average for the rest of the stream. I feel like I had a pretty good batting average for the rest of the stream, dude. I was swinging the bat at people, just swinging it. Okay. I hope you guys stick around for the next show about Assassin's Creed Infinity. Don't forget, a members-only stream tonight with my wife. We do a members-only after show. I do the Reforge Roundtable every Friday. It's a podcast with some of my buddies. You're going to want to see it. That's also later. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're starting the next stream. Assassin's Creed Infinity is shaping up to be more than a live service game. It's going to be bigger than a live service game. That is my contention. The latest Assassin's Creed Infinity news that has come out is significant. I'm going to give you a very quick breakdown right here at the beginning of the video. If you didn't catch the live stream, hit subscribe and the bell button. The video's long because I do the breakdown right at the beginning and then I discuss it with a live audience right after. So it's, usually like a 2-hour long video. So make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. That way, you don't have to miss out on the content. And I put the breakdown at the beginning because I don't want people to miss the breakdown. I'm going to end the previous stream. We talked about the Last of Us Remake gameplay. If you want to see my breakdown and hot, spicy arguments about that game, check out that VOD. So I'm going to end that stream and bring everybody over with